And welcome to Unapologetic Geek Out, the UGO podcast. I am so excited to be here today. I cannot believe it. Who is so excited that they're basically dying of hunger and just tiredness? It's me, Nick, the Merc with a mic, and my fellow unapologist, the god of the pod himself,
Travis.
And of course, our special guest for today, Christopher Herman. Christopher, say hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. Sorry.
Chris, I like how you just preempted, like, I am so sorry to enforce
right
myself upon you.
I'm gonna make some
again.
people mad. That's why. I think. Possibly. We'll see.
Why are you making people mad today, Chris? So what's the end goal? What are we talking about?
We're talking.
We're talking about Marvel.
I feel like we're always talking about Marvel.
Travis, it's Marvel Madness. We haven't done a Marvel Madness in like 2 years.
Cannot be that long.
There's been so much madness we've been left out of. It's crazy. So yeah, we're gonna be ranking the Marvel films today. Not all of them, because good God, there are so many at this point.
Yeah.
But we have our top 5 and we have our bottom 5. So we're gonna run through them and see how our lists compare. I feel like it won't be that different for me and Travis, so it's going to have to depend on Chris to be the real wild card in the situation.
I think I might be. Might have some controversial picks. We'll see.
Okay. Oh boy, I cannot wait, because I can't imagine anyone would get into argument about it, so that'd be great. But before we do that, we're going to do, of course, we're going to talk about the Geek News of the Week and just a couple of the buttload of trailers that came out. I wanted to talk about a couple of those while we had Chris on, because I know he wants to talk about a couple of the superhero-related ones that I think we can talk about.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
And, before even that, I just want to mention some general announcements. Announcement number 1, full apology for the previous episode. I did not mention this at all. I meant to record a specific thing, but our Anime Minneapolis episode, our audio quality for the interviews was not the same quality as it usually is. That is my bad. I had to use up a backup recording of when I recorded on site there, because I had a problem with connection on the mic, so that is why the quality was not up to our usual standard. I fully apologize if anyone cannot hear or they had a hard time listening to that one, that I threw up the ones that I considered were the best, and I figured something was better than nothing. So, sorry for that in advance. We are going to be looking into making sure that doesn't happen again with, just backup mics and more regular checking of the recordings. And that's
you just had a hard time that whole entire convention, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't have my wingman Travis at that one. I lone wolfed it, and I probably should just not have done that, to be completely honest. It was really a hard one.
See, I'm necessary.
But, or at least he likes to think so. But where else will we be, Travis?
I said I was necessary, not replaceable.
Travis,
There's a difference.
What is our next convention now that we are talking about conventions?
Pretty sure that would be Kitsune, actually.
No,
wait, that's right. What's that one?
Why did I even kick it to you? That was my mistake.
I'm forgetting the name of it now.
It's Convergence, goddammit.
Is it?
Yes, it is Convergence. That's the first weekend of July.
I remember there was one before. I just didn't remember the name of it. Leave me alone.
That one, we will be there in Minneapolis hanging out yet again. Travis, I am even going to be on a panel for that one. Yeah. I got it added in the last minute on the Gotham fan panel.
Ooh.
So if you want to hear me talk about Gotham and why I love it and why I'm wrong in the head for doing so, I am not only the on the panel, I'm actually the panel moderator. So that is awesome. Great. That really is the inmates running the asylum, which is very appropriate for that show. Also, if you cannot wait to see me until then, I will be in Chicago the last weekend of June, and I will be there for the Double Toasted Chicago live show. I will be driving down there for the night and just hanging out there. So if you're in the Chicago area and want to hang out, just let me know, and we'll hang and drink and, do stuff. That sounded way more ominous than I thought, Not sexual stuff. Well, I mean, I don't want to take it off the table. You know what? We're going to move on to the next subject.
Should put a disclaimer on that one.
So, yeah. Also, guys, we love doing the show, and we are really happy that you guys have supported us via when we opened up our Patreon page, and we have our even new patron. Let me bring up the actual name here so I don't mispronounce it. But yes, if you donate to our Patreon, you get access to shows like Movie Pass or Fail, which we check out the some of the latest movies that have kind of gone under our radar for the main show, but we still want to talk about. We did one for Upgrade and Solo recently. I know it's not really under anyone's radar, but what can I say? We didn't have time to cover it on the regular show. Sue me. And yeah, we also have the movie commentaries we do for some of our Netflix and Kill movies. We record live commentaries of our live reactions for them, so you can have that. And I finally stalled long enough to find the name of our patron. We have our new patron. Yay, Maggie Kitterman. Thank you so much for becoming an official unapologist. We greatly appreciate it. But if you don't want to support us with your money, you can do so with a little bit of your time by going to iTunes and writing us a review on there. 5-star reviews really help us out with visibility and, notoriety, and help us out with that iTunes algorithm. We're always trying to beat those algorithms on here. So if you want to do that,
the machine.
If you want to do that, we will read whatever goes in that review box on the air, word for word. That is my guarantee. Make me see something weird, guys. I really do enjoy talking about weird stuff like possible alien co-hosts or some of the other previous stuff you guys have done, and I miss doing it. So yeah, give that a shot. You can also follow us at any of our social media pages at UGO Podcast on Twitter or Instagram. Check out our Animini pics or ASIN pics that just went up. Those were really cool and fun to do. Or you can follow us on our Facebook page or just email us at unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com. And with all that rigmarole out of the way, Chris, I would like the people to know where they can find you because you have some new stuff going on in your life. So I would like for you to tell the people about that.
Oh, man, I have to keep it like a list now just to see what am I on again? Oh, yeah, I'm on that show, too. Well, okay. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris J. Herman. You can check out my Twitch at Mr. Revan7. You can check out my website with all my uploaded streams and reviews at classintheglass.net. I'm also featured on oneofus.net occasionally as a contributor and writer and editor. I recently just put up a commentary for Ocean's 11. And right now I'm also a co-host on doubletoasted.com's show Sammy Ain't Seen Shit, which is the whole concept of the show is basically just retro reviews of older films that Sammy Gonzalez, the main host of the show, has not seen. And we talk about them, we riff on them, just have a good conversation. But you can check that all out on doubletoasted.com.
I really am enjoying your new stint on Sammy Ain't Seen Shit.
Thank you.
I love your calm and cool attitude as I think the word per minute thing for Sammy is that after I think you get 1 word per his 75. It's about the ratio I think that is allowed. Is that in the contract?
Well, here's the thing. It's like, the first episode I was on, which was Ian's last show, who was Sammy's I forget Ian's last name. I'm gonna kill. I don't know. But his co-host left, and that was his last show. It was basically a goodbye episode, really. And that was for Temple of Doom. And I took a backseat to that one. I let them. This is it's for the fans. Just give them what they want, right? And so, but I feel like I talked a little bit more for Ocean's 11.
Sure.
So which was the newest episode?
Ian the Butcher, I believe is his name.
Ian Butcher, thank you. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he works for the mob. Not sure. So.
Well, I'd rather be terrified if you ever went on there, Nick, because if Sammy's got that much word count, I don't think you two could compete. It might just destroy the world.
We would just try and out-talk each other.
Yeah.
And it would be like Podcast Thunderdome, in which just one podcaster enter, two podcaster enter, one pod leave.
And Chris and I could just sit in the background, just stare.
But yeah, that is great. I am super excited to see that. And yes, definitely check out his Twitch streams. Some fun stuff there. And also, if you're interested in some of his previous recordings, he's actually recorded with us for a lot of Netflix and Kills.
Absolutely.
Which were real fun. We should get together and do that again sometime.
Yeah, sure. Let me know.
We talked about Punisher and Wheelman and other people that were kind of like the Punisher.
Yeah. Castlevania, that was the most recent one, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that one, actually.
It's good.
So, today, I just wanted to get into some of the news before we go into the main subject, because along with the buttload of trailers, we had some news today. Should say this week. Did you guys hear about the Joker film thing?
The Jared Leto Joker?
Yeah, the Jared Leto one.
I tried to not.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently he bitched and moaned because he got cut out of the Suicide Squad. So now I want my own movie, goddammit.
You didn't get cut enough.
So apparently that's going to be in the works along with another solo Joker film, along with what the studio calls or what this article calls 6 Joker movies the DC has in development, which I found this article on Screen Rant, so for that, give that for what you will. And their definition of what a Joker movie is
A movie where
questionable.
A movie where a Joker appears.
They list Gotham City Sirens as Joker movie. I'm like, that, okay, Joker might be in it for a half second. That doesn't qualify it as a Joker movie.
No.
But whatever. The point is that there's going to be a couple Joker movies in development, which is weird. So, Chris, I know you like the comic books.
I do.
What is your hot take on this? What's your initial reaction?
For people who don't know, I am not a big fan of the DCEU in general. I think it's just a hot mess of failure and sadness, to be honest.
Yep.
Suicide Squad, I think, is one of the worst superhero movies ever made. And I thought Jared Leto's performance as the Joker was awful. It was funny in the worst way possible, because I can't believe what he's doing on screen. You got beef, man. It's like, oh my God. And his laugh.
Beef.
It was just, you got beef. It was so obnoxious and annoying. The Joker shouldn't be annoying. I should be scared of him, or I should be laughing at him. It's either the two, you know? And I just felt like exasperated about that entire performance. The fact he's going to get which again, they say he's going to get a movie. I doubt that. I doubt 3/4 of what the DC, of their announcements are actually going to happen. The only thing I know that's going to happen is a Wonder Woman sequel. That I'm sure about. And the ones that we already know have been filmed. So Shazam and Aquaman. That's it. Like, all this rumors about a Joaquin Phoenix Joker film, Martin Scorsese produced. Give me a break. A Jared Leto Joker movie? No. No way. They're never going to do this. They're just saying they have no plan whatsoever. They're just throwing stuff out there to see what reaction are. It's like they need a figurehead. They need someone in place to say, hey, guys, here's a plan that we want to do. Yeah, we have to put in place, and then we can go forward from there. But they're not going to do that. They're just throwing stuff at a wall and seeing if it sticks. And I'm just like, it's obnoxious and annoying, and the movie's not going to happen. I'll bet money on this. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'd bet you on it, but I don't feel like losing $1.
I just hope it doesn't happen, because
Sure.
I don't want that to exist. I just straight out don't.
DC has made a track record of like not following through on a lot of projects they announce anyway.
Yeah.
Like, Ben Affleck's totally going to be in his own standalone Batman movie, and he's going to direct it for sure. Yeah, okay. And yeah, they're even going to make a New Gods movie. Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah.
I'll believe that when I see it. But yeah, what a terrible idea. And I wish I had an upnote to sell you on this, guys, but the only upnote I have is that sometimes brilliance is had from desperation. So maybe at some point they'll be desperate enough to just try, I don't know, anything.
Well, I think they're getting there.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of trying weird things, did you guys hear about the Willy Wonka remake that they want to make happen?
Some stuff about it. I heard casting for it.
So, Travis, what is your initial reaction for a Willy Wonka remake?
Please not Johnny Depp.
Please not Johnny Depp. Is that your only requirement?
That's a pretty big requirement.
Well, what if I named for you somebody that might pique your interest? What if I told you one of the running shortlist people was Donald Glover for Willy Wonka?
I mean, I'll watch him in almost anything.
I like that. Again, not really established. It's just a rumor, and no one in Early Talks really ever ends up being the actual person that they pick. So
He seems like a weird choice, but I think he could work it.
I think he'd be a great show. He's got that weird. Have you ever seen the Teddy Perkins episode of Atlanta? It's kind of like, him playing an eccentric rich guy that's kind of weird. Like, yeah, I think I can see this happen. So, Chris, did you have an opinion about that?
I mean, they don't make it. But if they're going to, then I will see it if Donald Glover's in whiteface and he's playing Teddy Perkins.
Wow.
Make it a horror film.
Yeah.
Just make it weird, and he's fucking murdering all these kids. Because no one gives a shit about these kids. They're annoying. Kill them all. I don't care. You slaughter them, you turn them to candy, whatever. Incinerate them. I don't give a shit. Do that, and just him just acting. I mean, that episode, because I've seen that episode, the Teddy Perkins episode, horrifying. Just so weird and off-putting. It's brilliant. But have him play Willy Wonka that way, I'd be all for it.
This is my chocolate factory. This is it here. I tell you, my children, you need to grab.
I mean, it's Michael Jackson. That's what it is. And that'd be creepy as hell. I'm sorry. That's just the case. So,
Okay,
I'm all for
I
it.
do kind of want to see a Willy Wonka horror movie now.
Yeah.
Would you like some everlasting gobstoppers? Yeah. He's like, my Michael Jackson is halfway to Hubert from Family Guy.
Yeah.
But it's just, boy. You want to talk about something more in Chris's neck of the woods? Because we have Valve making an announcement recently.
That's probably not good.
Well, apparently Steam will no longer regulate the games that are on their library unless they are strictly illegal. So, to me, I don't know. I was trying to read the whole article. It really sounded to me like they're giving up trying to monitor the shovelware that ends up on Steam.
Yeah.
But Chris, this is more in your world. So, what is the read on here? What's happening?
Well, to be fair, Valve has never really monitored what's been going up on Steam. They've only shut things down when it's been like a big controversy where people are very upset about it. They don't give a shit. They never have. And the fact that they're saying it's like, oh, now they're just announcing for the sake of announcing. It's like, look, we've never done this anyway, but now we're just gonna say, yeah, you can put up your game unless you're making a game about a school shooting or you're trolling or something like that. Then you can put anything up there. It's like, okay, so you're doing what you did for the last decade. Fair enough. Okay. It's not a big surprise. That's Valve. They don't give a shit anymore in terms of the games they could put up on that service.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Steam's a really cool system, and you get a lot of really cool deals, but man, there's like the ratio to actual games to like this
Garbage.
crap. Like, yeah, just shovelware garbage. Yeah, it's not great. But, yeah. Oh, speaking of garbage, should we talk about the Kelly Marie Tran controversy here? She was run off Instagram.
Yeah, I saw the article. I didn't actually read it, though.
Apparently, she was harassed by a bunch of Star Wars fans for ruining The Last Jedi for them. Because that was her fault.
Yes, entirely, obviously.
So that sucks. Like, Mark Hamill did put out a cool tweet of, like, get a life, nerds, and, like, had him, like, hugging her in a picture of, like, she's just fine.
Mark Hamill's like the best space dad.
Yeah, and it's like, guys,
Fuck off.
I realized that Last Jedi was somehow pissed in your cereal to the point where no one can seem to stand the movie's existence, but maybe not harass people off of Instagram for it. Also, like, why... I think the same thing happened with Daisy Ridley for a while, too, where she might not be on it as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm just surprised that they would read the comments or whatever, like on their posts or like that. But then again, they aren't like some actors do make a point of interacting with their fans and reading stuff. Like we interact with Janet Varney all the time, and she sometimes takes a long time to respond because she reads all her fan mail. Like every piece of fan mail, she at least reads it. So, just a sad kind of story. I don't really have
fucking harass people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. For me, the Star Wars fan base is kind of like, why are people so rabidly defensive of a franchise of movies that, I'm sorry guys, has one really great movie and a bunch of okay ones,
And then some really shitty ones.
and like the ratio is not even that great for things to live and die by. So I don't know, Chris, did you have a take on this?
Okay, so I have not, hidden the fact that I am less than a fan of The Last Jedi. I don't like the movie. I think it has a lot of problems. There's nothing to do with fanboy stuff. I just think it's not well written or plotted very well or paced very well. Nor was I a fan of Kelly. What's her name again? Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah, Kelly Marie Tran, who plays
Rose.
What's the name of the movie?
Rose Tico, I believe.
Rose.
I was not a fan of that character. I didn't think she worked at all. But
No, she could have been taken out of the movie entirely.
well, despite all that, if you sexually harass someone online and give them death threats, you're a fucking scumbag. I'm sorry. You could critique the film. You could critique a performance, and say, look, I just didn't like this for these various reasons, okay? But if you're actively harassing someone like that, you're a fucking scumbag, and you don't deserve to be a fan. You're going against everything that makes the Star Wars fandom so much fun. So fuck you. Stop running these people off online. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting.
Well said, my friend. You can take your shit and take it with the Rick and Morty fans with their Szechuan sauce.
Oh, Jesus.
And fucking take that out. And you know the Steven Universe hate mail letters sending it to artists because they deign to draw a ship you disagreed with. Fuck right off. You're the reason why it's hard to convince. Like, it's made it hard to convince people to actually watch certain things because of these toxic fan bases.
It's one of the reasons I have yet to watch Rick and Morty.
Which again is like, man, I realize that anything with a big enough fan base just attracts like the loudest of assholes anyway, but it's still just depressing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, they feel
anyway.
No, I just want to say they feel invulnerable because they're online.
Yeah.
They're anonymous, and that's why they would never say this stuff to these people in person. They would never do that because they're cowards. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And it's just like, thankfully, I think I like to think there's a majority of people that, even though whether they like The Last Jedi or not, they know that it's not an individual actor's fault that the movie was bad or something like that. So it's like, look, you just didn't like the performance. This is the way it is. Just don't be a overtly asshole, about it. That's all I gotta say.
Well, speaking of assholes,
We're just going down this train, aren't we?
working my transition game today. Have you noticed? Trying to work those in natural. So I don't know how big of a Gorillaz fans are you guys, respectively?
I listened to one on the radio.
Chris, you big a Gorillaz fan?
They're the animated music group, right?
Okay, that answers my question.
I know of them. I'm not a music guy, so there you go. I'll be quiet for this segment.
All right, I'm a big Gorillaz fan. They're probably my favorite music group. I love their stuff. They dropped a new track recently, which was very interesting because it confirmed a long-held theory that Gorillaz is part of the Powerpuff Girls universe, in which the storyline of the band now is that Murdoch is in jail, and while he's in jail, who's replaced him on the band is actually Ace from the Gangrene gang of Powerpuff Girls, which is crazy to me that, like, do they have, like, licensing for that? Can they use that? Like, I mean, I'm assuming they must have paid for the rights for it, because they even, like, they fully admit it. It looks exactly like the character. Well, I mean, the hairstyle is a little different, but, like, it looks basically just like him. Which is weird, because, like, Murdoch does look like he belongs in the Gangrene gang, to me. Also, I do love the music video too, because since Murdoch is such an abusive asshole, like, 2D is so excited to not have him be around, that the song is, like, nice and upbeat and like, hey man, everything's good, man, just hanging out here on the beach while Murdoch's gone. Then he remembers at the end of the video that, oh yeah, all the rest of the band members fucking hate me too and are completely assholes. And just his whole mood changes. So I just thought, like, what an interesting track for them to take. I hope they have more band members, like, come in. Like, I would great for, like, Harvey Birdman, or just like him come in for, like, a xylophone role or something, just off the cuff. But yeah, that was a more me story, I guess. Is there anything else anyone else want to mention in the news segment before we move on just to some of the trailers of the week?
Look, geez, we could talk about all the E3 rumors, but let's save that for an actual episode.
I mean, we can go through that like an actual E3 episode. I don't want to speak to so many rumors of what could or could not happen.
So
or
many
whatnot.
things. Like, everything will happen.
Yeah.
Yo, Tom from Toonami here. You're listening to the UGO podcast. And I hope you all are ready, because Trailer Talk starts now.
We had some, I don't know, a few dozen trailers, it feels like, come out. Oh, boy. But I did want to get Chris's take on one in particular. Chris, did you watch the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer?
I did, yes.
So, how did that one catch you? Because it was really interesting to me to see the take that Sony is taking on this character.
Well, I kind of had the same reaction I did to the first teaser trailer that was released a few months ago. It's like, wow, this is beautiful looking. I mean, clearly it looks like it's in capable hands. The dialogue's very smart. I mean, you just feel the emotion, and then the characters and the pacing seems to be great. I mean, just the way the trailer is edited together, it's like, okay, I kind of see where this is going. The problem I have with it is that for people that know about Miles Morales, there's very few. I'm sorry, that's just the case. 95% of the people out there who are even aware of who go see the Marvel movies have no idea who Miles Morales is as a character. And I think the way that they're introducing him here is just very weird. Where, okay, so there's multiple Spider-Men, and they got Spider-Gwen now. People are be like, wait, what's happening? And they call it the Spider-Verse. It's like, it's just, there feels like a more eloquent way they could have, again, maybe had Marvel actually do this, down the line with this character. But the way to introduce him here, it just feels very odd to me. Where, yes, it looks beautiful. I love all the dialogue. The characters seem really funny. Like the stuff with the dad, especially, and being a cop and everything. That whole dynamic was great. But it's just like, how are you going to sell this? Despite it looking good. The whole plot and concept is just weird to me. And, I don't know how majority, it's like, okay, I can watch this now, I'll probably enjoy it, but how will, regular audiences react to this? Not only like, wait, who's Miles Morales? Why is Peter Parker 45 years old? Gwen Stacy, wait, she's a spider person now? It's just weird introducing all of that at once. That's my hot take.
Especially since you think that the last time someone saw Gwen Stacy, she died.
Sure, exactly, yeah.
That would be the point. I had that similar thought, but if you think of it in the context of in the animated universe, if Sony is going off of the children audience, I think they're banking off of the Spider-Verse storyline being very popular in the comics and in the animated series that they have been putting out, like the Ultimate Spider-Man show, which I know is terrible and no adult probably watches, but I bet you kids do. So, and they've done the multiple Spider-Man storyline a lot on there. Oh. And the, what's it called? The New Avengers film? New Avengers cartoon show? Mighty Avengers, I think? Yeah. Oh, okay. So they've introduced Venom, Anti-Venom, Carnage, Spider-Gwen, Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, Gwen Stacy. They made Mary Jane Scarlet Spider in there. Everyone is a spider person in there. God. Flash Thompson is Venom at this point. They've introduced almost everything from the comics in the cartoons. So I think that's why they feel okay with introducing this Spider-Verse element into the animated version, because the audience they're aiming for is the one that grew up with that cartoon that knows all that bullshit. Also, I like Green Goblin as this giant fucking gargoyle.
Yeah, that was weird. It took me a few seconds to get who that was supposed to be.
I'm pretty sure that's Green Goblin. I mean, I couldn't imagine who else it must be, but I did like at the end the dad as the cop just totally dogging him out in front of his kids at the school. What a dick move.
That'd be awful.
Oh boy! But did everyone watch the Lego Movie 2 trailer?
Yeah.
The second part. So how do we feel about a Lego Movie that's not directed by the Chris Lord and Phil Miller?
I mean, we've gotten one before that was pretty good with Chris McKay with the Lego Batman movie, which I think is actually better than Lego.
Yeah,
I really like Lego Batman.
I own that film. I've seen it several times since buying it.
God, that movie's funny.
Quality. It's funny as hell. So, I'm fine with it. Phil Lord and Chris Miller are busy guys right now. Everyone wants them to make whatever movie, unless you're Lucasfilm, of course. But I think it's fine. I think the trailer did a good job. Now the jokes hit, but be fair, now the jokes hit in the LegoMovie. But there was some stuff I liked. I mean, sewer babies, that made me laugh like hell. I love that. Is
that a standard part of the apocalypse? Is sewer babies?
Of course, mutant children and shit like that. I was like, this is great. And the stuff with the Sisterverse and the the little.
I'm sorry, the Sistarverse.
The Sistarverse.
Get it right.
Excuse me. But the little heart firing at him, it's going hello, and it explodes and tries to kill him. That made me laugh. It's like, I expect it'll be just as good as the first film. It'll be like, there's jokes I'm going to be really enjoying. The other ones I'm like, that was fine. So, I think it'll be okay.
Also, I kind of like the aspect of like, hey, give me your greatest leader. Like, oh, there's this guy. He saved the day last time. It's like, wait a minute, didn't you do like all the work?
Yeah.
Well, which actually has a similar joke to another trailer, which was Ralph Breaks the Internet, which had the whole Disney princess thing in there. Like, this one was an interesting one because they had the moment they had what's her name, Sarah Silverman's character say, find me a site that's really intense and like scary or something like
It's really
that.
awesome, I think, or something.
And I was like, oh shit, don't like it's gonna
so
take her to,
much porn.
It's gonna take her to 4chan or Pornhub or like it's like that's yeah. I mean, we're gonna assume this is the Disney internet, which has been scrubbed of all that.
Yes, because there's only one match. I'm like, no, there wasn't.
And it takes them to the Disney internet, where it takes them to the Disney park in the internet, which is weird.
Which, to be fair, when she first meets the princesses, Cinderella makes a shiv out of her glass slipper.
That was funny.
Now, there's a lot of jokes in there that are really, really funny. Did you notice that Pocahontas, no matter what scene she's in, her hair is blowing in the wind?
Moving. Yes,
yes. That made me laugh really hard. Like, just like, no matter they're inside and yet her hair is still blowing. And they're all asking her like these weird questions of like, hey, have you ever been poisoned or kidnapped or like or all this like, man, what is wrong with you guys? Like, you guys need help. Which I thought.
Do I need to call the police?
Do I need to call somebody? I thought that was funny. Also, like, I liked how the 3D models, like, ever since they started using the 3D models, like Elsa, Rapunzel from Tangled, and Moana look exactly like their character models.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even change them at all, which was funny.
Well, to be honest, it was almost a little off-putting seeing all the Disney princesses, like the older ones, slightly different, and then these characters being exactly the same. So I'm like, oh. We just see, like, Snow White, I was like, oh, this is a parody. And then you see Elsa, it's like, I guess it's not a parody then.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's like it is a Disney park, like, catching them on their, like, at their day jobs, but they're on a coffee break or something. Like, they're just all taking break in the break room or whatever, and it's, I don't know, there's something really weird. Like, I don't understand the logic about it, but I do find it interesting. And yeah, I just thought it was really cute. Chris, did you watch this one? Did you have an opinion on it?
No, I did. I really enjoyed the last Wreck-It Ralph. I thought it was more for younger kids though, like the first film. It just the the dialogue and the way the characters are acting. It's like I still enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is definitely for 12 and under. That's how I felt about the first Wreck-It Ralph.
With a character like King Candy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, totally like that. And with this film, it's like, okay, I mean, this is cool, but then I kind of felt overwhelmed by all the references, and maybe because I was a little burned on Ready Player One, which I thought was a really mediocre movie. And so I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, Star Wars, Muppets.
Man, to your point, shit, I completely forgot I saw Ready Player One.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay. So, maybe, like, it was a good trailer. I thought the trailer was fine, but hopefully it's just not just saying references for the sake of saying references, which is one of my problems with Ready Player One. I just thought it just said stuff, but wasn't clever about it. And so I hope Wreck-It Ralph is a little more clever about it. This trailer was, like I said, it was fine. And like the stuff with the princesses, that was really funny. So more stuff like that. So,
I mean, and we also got like they had the joke of like Ralph Breaks the Internet. Like, wouldn't Wreck the Internet be a better title and make more sense?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a funny joke and everything, but
it also
seriously,
points it out. Yeah.
Like, why isn't that the joke? Like, are they worried that people wouldn't get the reference of Break the Internet? Because I'm pretty sure we can all figure it out. But whatever. I mean.
They just didn't want the two names of the first and second movie to be too similar?
All right. Should we get to the crazy part of the trailer talk?
Sure.
There's a Transformer trailer that I don't hate.
I hate it.
In fact, I like a lot about it.
I hate it because it's a Transformer trailer.
Well, let me give you do your reasons. Reason number one, Michael Bay. Not a director. I don't think he's even a producer on it.
Okay, if Michael Bay's not in it at all, maybe.
No, and I forget who was actually directing it. Shit.
The guy did Kubo. One of the guys that worked on Kubo or he directed Kubo. I forget.
Yes, he's and Kubo. While not perfect or anything, me and Kyle. Did you watch that one? Did you watch Kubo?
Kubo and the Two Strings?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I remember because me and Kyle reviewed it, but I don't remember if you saw it afterwards. I thought that movie was great. I thought it had some really cool writing and stuff in it. And this one, the designs, we only get to see Starscream and Bumblebee, but the designs of the Transformers, they're way better. They're like smooth, and you can see them, and they look like the toys. The 80s cartoon, not the junky pieces of shit that we got in the Bay universe. Like, it's interesting in the prequel, like, why did they get jaggedy later? Also, Starscream flips, like, in his transformation, just like he does in the cartoon. Like, in the toy, if you had it as a kid, where he'd flip over, and his head is, like, in the cockpit. And I don't know, like, that made me smile. I'm like, oh shit, they did that thing, which I know is, like, such a low bar to even clear for a fucking 80s nostalgia movie, but here we are. Also...
We're also, like, what, 7 movies in?
Also, yeah, what took this long to make the brainwave of, hey, maybe we should make a Transformers movie, E.T.?
Well, why did it take this long to make the brainwave of, let's get rid of Michael Bay?
Right. Well, I mean, those movies just kept making money. That was the real reason. Which would be interesting. It would suck if this one is like the one that people aren't interested in just because they're burnt out on Transformers movies.
I'll be honest, my first reaction to this was like, I saw the car, I'm like, okay, it's either another fucking Transformers movie or a Herbie remake. And it was not obviously a Herbie remake, so I'm like, okay, that's disappointing.
And I know the Iron Giant already exists, but I could use another light Iron Giant movie.
He's gonna die at the end.
Well, he can't. He's Bumblebee. Also, I like that he's the little bug the whole time. That's cute. I don't know. Chris, did you have any thoughts on the Bumblebee trailer?
So, I have never been a Transformers fan in general. I kind of skipped that whole, that series, like the G.I. Joe, Transformers, TMNT, like all that. I know people like of my age group like love all that shit. But for whatever reason, I was a Nickelodeon kid and a Cartoon Network kid, so I just completely missed all that stuff. But what I will say is that I thought it was a very good trailer. I thought it was charming. I thought it was funny. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. I mean, it's a girl and her giant robot. You know, it's a girl and her dog story basically. And I think that works. Yeah, it's Iron Giant, and yeah, sure, it's E.T., but yeah, hey, if you just tell a fun story and you borrow those same elements, there's nothing wrong with that. I really have nothing to complain about that. And here's the thing: it's like, okay, if the way Transformers fans are reacting to this, it's like, oh, I kind of get it now. What was missing from those other movies was the heart.
Yeah,
it was the fact that the reason why they're connected to these characters is because they're supposed to be, nice characters that they obviously have like a dynamic, especially with the humans. It's like, oh, that was missing. It's like, okay, clearly, I think this will probably be better than those Transformers movies. I mean, initially, it's like there doesn't seem to be any crass humor or fart jokes or anything like that. It's like, yes, just solid looking, entertainment. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And by the way, the director Travis Knight, who did do Kubo and the Two Strings, and you guys probably won't like to hear this, but Michael Bay is producing.
Damn it!
Well, there it is.
There's like 4 other producers, so it's who knows?
Okay.
I think clearly it's not.
Maybe he's just
like
cashing a check.
Yeah, I think it's like Steven Spielberg produces like tons of movies he doesn't give a shit about, so I think that's the case.
True, but there's a difference. Steven Spielberg has talent.
well,
and having his name on something will actually help it.
He's the producer. He's the producer.
Now I'm just like, I'm not seeing this movie because Michael Bay's name is somewhere near it. It's adjacent to it, so I will not see it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there was a bunch of other trailers, but we're kind of running long already, so we'll skip through them. Other than the Michael Myers Halloween trailer we just saw today, it just dropped. Looks pretty badass to me.
It's interesting,
considering its Blumhouse origins. But I'm really excited kind of for that one. But without further ado, should we move on to the main subject?
The meat,
the lists, guys. Man, the internet loves lists, and we got lists for you. Oh my goodness, we got lists.
I feel like it's a long time since we've done a list.
Yeah, it actually has been. I mean, we're doing a lot of convention and interview episodes lately, so it's kind of nice to get back to this. So, what we're going to do here is name off our top 5 and bottom 5 Marvel films, and we're going to go in order. First round, we're going to go into our favorite top 5s, and we'll share our number 5s from there, work our way up. And then we'll go to our number 5s for our least favorite and work our way down to the worst one. if that makes any sense. Am I being confusing?
I think it makes sense.
Kind of?
We'll find out.
We'll find out if anyone's confused at the end of this, but...
We're starting at the bottom of the list each time, is what you're saying.
So, yeah. And then we will, I'm sure we'll have repeats and stuff, and just a big love fest for these films. We haven't done a full Marvel Madness episode since that must have been like one of our first ones, like back 3 years ago or something, now that I think about
Just don't say that. That makes me feel old.
Man, we've been doing this a long time, Travis. Long time. In podcast worlds, we're almost to put out to pasture. But before that happens, let's get to our picks here. So, full disclosure, this was hard for me, surprisingly hard.
I feel like if we had done top threes, it would have been a lot easier.
Well, I mean, for me, the top 5 for me were hard because I had to narrow it down because I have my 3, like, these are my favorite. And then there's, like, another 7 in there that are like, these are all really good that I really like. And I don't know, like, and they're all, like, rotating, shifting favorites. And then my favorites aren't also what I consider the best movies, so it's a real caveat-heavy, gonna be a caveat-heavy episode. And then also the bottom one was hard, too, because I don't know how controversial this is, but I still don't think that Marvel has many duds in their filmography. Like, just straight-up really bad movies. Even if you extend to the TV show, I think the only thing that they've done that's been an absolute dumpster fire is Iron Fist. So
Immortals.
Oh yeah,
that's
Inhumans. You mean? So yeah, I hate the Inhumans as well.
Oh yeah, Inhumans. I say Immortals. Sorry.
Yeah,
We got what you meant.
Whatever,
I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's right.
My mistake.
So Chris, you are our guest. Why would you like to start us off with your number 5 for favorites?
Oh, okay. So for my 5th favorite Marvel movie would be Thor Ragnarok. And it's
Rags.
And it's for the simple reason is that it gets rid of all the things I hated from the first 2 Thor movies. Gets rid of the dumb human characters, Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings. It gets rid of Asgard, destroys Asgard, gets rid of the supporting character, Asgard's character, and doesn't even give him, like, lines, just, like, fucking kills him. It's just like, no ceremony whatsoever, no time spent on there, just like, who cares? Drops the whole...
It was pretty cruel to the Warriors 3.
They were barely a
shit.
blip.
I wish Sif got it, too. I was like, oh, you missed one, Taika. When you come back to do Thor 4, hopefully, you can get rid of her as well. But...
Lady Chris has just got a picture up on his wall of Lady Sif, like, you're next.
You're next, exactly.
Just Valkyrie smashing her head in.
Oh, well, now you're getting a little too violent. I just want her gone.
I just want her out into side character heaven.
Just like, whatever. You were in that movie, but no one cares. It dropped the whole Shakespearean allegory stuff. I mean, the way the people talked and things. And it doubled down on what people liked about Thor, which was the comedy, his interactions with Loki, the fact that he exists in the same universe as the Guardians of the Galaxy. The reason why I love this movie so much is that it's a big budget version of Big Trouble in Little China. And it's perfect because Thor is he's the Jack Burton of the Marvel Universe. It's like,
wow, okay.
He's kind of competent sometimes, but he's also kind of an idiot, He makes a fool of himself. He tries to pick himself up. It's like when he throws the goddamn ball at the wall and it comes back and hits him in the head. He's like, I'm okay. It's like, stuff like that. It's like, it's perfect. And you just give it that wonderful 80s just look in terms of the aesthetic, the music. You have some really fun side characters introduced. I mean, Jeff Goldblum is the Grand Master. Anytime Jeff Goldblum is on screen, it's his goddamn movie. Probably because he came up with all of his own dialogue. He didn't read from a script. They're just like, we're going to keep fucking filming this and see what happens. And that's what they did. There's a point in the movie where Jeff Goldblum just stops talking and the actors just look at each other. It's like, what is happening? And it's brilliant. It made me, for the first time, really care about the Thor character and his world when it crossed over into the greater Marvel galactic universe. Aside, my only complaint would be is the Asgard stuff, the stuff that was left over. Like, I don't care about Hela or her little sidekick guy, Judge Dredd, whatever his name is, Scourge. It's like, it's like, all right, whatever, who cares? Yeah, she's a giant wolf. That's kind of cool. Hulk fights a giant wolf, but it's other than that. all the other stuff is just so fun. And again, it's Taika Waititi, his super clever writing. The movie makes fun of itself, makes fun of the genre, but also pays respect at the same time. It's just a really well done sci-fi comedy adventure.
Yeah, interesting you say Big Trouble in Little China. I would have gone with a big budget version of Flash Gordon, but whatever works. whatever 80s reference you want to go with. I agree with all of that. I'm wondering what will be on your bottom list then, considering how much you trashed Thor 2: The Dark World.
You'll see.
But yeah. Travis, your bottom, your number 5.
The bottom of my top list.
On your top list, yeah.
That one is going to be Black Panther.
Black Panther?
Yes.
Step into the spotlight.
Because I thought that movie was just great. Like, just this all black cast except for like a few caveats, and just going into this super awesome world. I thought Killmonger was honestly a great villain. And I'm just kind of disappointed that we're not going to see more of him, because I thought Michael B. Jordan did amazing in that. They had such a strong supporting female cast in this movie that they just all kicked so much ass that this movie was great. And I just thought it was so cool to finally have this movie come out and just have Black Panther be on big screen.
Yeah, that one actually did not make my list.
No?
Surprisingly. Well,
Racist.
It got edged out because I'm not a huge fan of, what's his name? Ulysses Claw.
Yeah, he was...
I thought he was like, he's okay in some points, and then he's a lot to take in at certain points. Like when he's yelling, like after that scene in the ballroom or whatever, like, oh, that was awesome! That was awesome, man! And I'm like, okay, you're not in a Triple X game. You're like, supposed to be this fucking arms dealer. Maybe.
But that bar scene was awesome.
Yeah. And then there's the questionable CGI near the end. Although I think they fixed that.
They fixed that in the Blu-rays, I think.
So I'm interested to actually go back and watch that one now. But that one got edged out, including Guardians of the Galaxy is no longer on the top 5, which is just shocking to me as well, because that used to be on top there too. But what is my number 5? Why? It is Civil War. Captain America, Civil War. God, I love that movie.
And that's surprising too, because you hate the comics so much.
That comic is bullshit. Civil War is trash. Yep. Like especially guys, if you were not reading Avengers up into the new point, Spider-Man was an Avenger, Iron Man, Captain America, and like they had this whole cool new Avengers team, and they were investigating SHIELD, and like there was corrupt members of SHIELD, and then they just dropped all that storyline to do Civil War, to have the fucking superheroes fight in the comics for a while, for little to no goddamn reason. And yeah, they managed to sell me on a concept that I hate in the comics, because Kevin Feige is some sort of miracle goddamn worker, in which he takes ridiculous premises and works them in seamlessly into a narrative, and gives everybody their moment of why they're doing the things that they are doing. And you believe them. You believe them because it's been set up in the previous films due to Iron Man's post-traumatic stress, and which is the only reason he would ever conform to authority. Captain America's independent streak of freedom over safety or privacy or and like violations and stuff like that. You know, we get to see Bucky become his own as his own type character. It has one of the better fucking Marvel villains in Baron Zemo, in which he's one of the few villains that actually fucking wins at the end.
Yeah.
His main goal is to break up the Avengers, and at the end of that, he does that. There's the best fucking superhero fight on film in the airport sequence, which is just amazing. And need I say more? They introduced Spider-Man and Black Panther in that movie, and it is amazing, just making you want to hunger for their solo movies even more. It is just a feat to behold. So why is it only my number 5? Well, it has a rough beginning. I'll tell you what.
Not that, but like literally the shooting of it was a little rough.
I don't like how the beginning fight scene is shot. And that's about it. And I know that's nitpicky and shit, but I'll tell you what, guys, we're in like the top tier of the Marvel films, okay? Like, I don't have a lot, like, there's not a lot differentiating them from one another for me. And so, yeah, there's a secondary unit team that was shooting that particular fight scene in Logos, and I don't know, I don't like that shaky cam bullshit. And yeah, other than that, yeah, what an amazing film. But not all of them can be quite amazing. So if, without further ado, should we go to our number 5 for bottom 5 films?
So this is top of the bottom now.
No, this is the bottom of the... top of the bottom,
Right.
working our way down.
Right.
I'm confused. Chris, would you like to take a guess at what film is your number 5?
Sure. Now, here's the thing. Because I have 2 films on this list which I don't think they're... Basically, my number 5 and my number 4 worst movies. I don't think these are the worst movies in the MCU, but I found them particularly disappointing because they should have been, in my opinion, great. Either very good or great. And so that's what I'm going to say for my 5th least favorite movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Avengers Age of Ultron.
All right, I'm just going to join in you right there. Same.
That's my number 5, too.
Yep.
Do we all have
Same
same
exact one.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Same fivesies. Okay.
Well, there you go. I mean, the reason why I found the film just so disappointing is, I mean, again, you're following up Avengers, which it brought the team together. You know, no one thought we would ever get that moment, with the first, no one thought we would ever get an Avengers movie. It was like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. But Joss Whedon did it. With this film, it's like, oh, okay. Now it's going to be them fighting one of their greatest villains ever in Ultron. And when I initially saw the marketing, I was like, oh, this is going to have a darker tone, and Ultron is going to be a really intimidating character. You know, he's presented very much in the way, like, how he is in the comics. He's a psychopathic android, and he's just scary. But what we get in this film is just an Ultron who initially appears to be kind of scary, but just becomes kind of a jokey, sarcastic villain. And
When
it's
he
just
comes out
very
in
weird.
that Iron Man suit that's all fucked up and he's singing Pinocchio,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this shit is off the chain. I love what they're doing with Ultron and this. He's scary as
He's
fuck.
practically a horror monster.
He's a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But then he starts going, it's like talking about, what's children, and, stuff like that. And just everything to do with his character was just so weird. And one of the other thing is that, okay, clearly they were setting up that there's supposed to be a father-son dynamic between Tony and Ultron, and they don't really go anywhere with that at all. Like, Ultron doesn't don't compare me to Stark. He's talking, he uses this call. It's like, oh, okay, they're going to start to build that. It's like, no, it doesn't go anywhere. And the other thing is, it's just that I just think the movie in particular is not very well paced. I think they introduced a few concepts that are just weird. The Betty
it drags
Ross.
in its second act.
I'm sorry?
It drags in its second
No,
act.
it
like,
absolutely
the
does.
pacing-wise.
There's just okay, he's got to get vibranium because he's got to make a meteor. Okay, he's going to blow up the world. Well, it's another, end the world type plot. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
But then it's like they introduce just weird things that come, like weird relationships that come out of nowhere. The stuff with Bruce Banner and Black Widow, I'm like, when did this get established? And it feels so awkward. And every time they're on screen together, it just doesn't work for me whatsoever. It's just weird and just kind of off-putting. And then and the other thing is that you have characters that kind of go off and leave the movie for a bit. Like you go on Thor's side quest, which I've heard, to be fair, was not Joss Whedon's decision. That was a studio decision or some producer's decision to set up Infinity War. But again, it just didn't work. It was distracting.
Well,
and then
correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
this was the movie which made Kevin Feige go to the producers and go, okay, quit fucking around and just give me control of this fucking franchise. Like, this was the movie that basically was the straw that broke the camel's back, right?
Interesting.
I think so.
Interesting.
And so the whole second phase is the phase, I believe, that you can track back and go look at, like, there's definitely there's a pre-Kevin Feige puts his dick down era, and there's a post-Kevin Feige puts his dick down era.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference between the two.
Well, that's why a lot of my list is number 2s, and there's a strong reason for that.
Right from those that phase 1 and 2. Yep, that's where a lot of my list goes to as well. And it's because that they try and put that cute, like, world-building bullshit in there that doesn't flow right.
It just doesn't, it's too much. Yeah.
And yeah, that fucking side trip with Thor is pointless.
I thought that
We
was
don't-
actually supposed to be longer, even that actually made more sense. I thought they cut parts of it that made more sense.
Yeah, it would make more sense, but then the film would be even fucking longer, and we don't need that. And plus, we don't need it. All that information is basically given for us in Thor 2, The Dark World, or no, at that point it would be
Ragnarok.
given to us in Ragnarok anyway.
And it was fine. It's just like, I looked for these things, I didn't find them. And it kind of felt like a fuck you to Avengers Age of Ultron. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's like,
it
okay.
really did, because after that they kind of were like, we're kind of done with all that setup stuff, and we're done hand-holding the audience. If you haven't watched the previous movies, these
Yeah.
movies aren't for you anymore.
Right.
Come on.
Like,
What are you doing here?
So, and yeah, I actually agree with that. I'm surprised we all had the same number 5s then.
Also, I gave it, it would have definitely lost 8 points because that was one of the original movies that started the whole slow down song for covers of trailers bullshit.
Man, remember when we liked that trope?
Oh yeah, because when Age of Ultron did it, it was one of the first ones to do it.
Yep. Ugh, boy.
And there's actually one thing I want to bring up too with the movie, and I really did not like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in that film at all. I thought they were just
really?
weird. Well, I have a problem with Scarlet Witch for a long time. It's like, what are her powers? She can apparently
Nebulous.
do
Weird shit.
anything. Anything. She can control people's minds. She can manipulate matter, time and space. It's like, you gotta put limitations. There has to be explained. It's like, okay, I get what all these other characters can do, but it's like her, it's like, whatever scene she's in. And I'm sorry, but, Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's just not a charismatic actor. And granted, he was not given much to do in that film. The problem is that anytime he was running around as Quicksilver, it just pales in comparison so much to what we got in Days of Future Past of that Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Well,
So I
there's
was
a
just
reason
like,
they murder the shit out of him at the end of that movie,
And
I feel like.
that's the other thing. That's such an undeserved death because I'm like, okay, this is Whedon. He always has to kill one character off in his films because it's just, I don't know why he has to do that constantly because it wasn't earned. It's like, I don't give a shit about that character.
Yeah.
You're trying to make
Well, if you do it right, it can help establish tension of
Well,
like, that's
sure,
what makes
but-
that what makes Firefly, the Center Any movie, pretty cool, is that if you kill Wash right before your climax, suddenly it's like, oh shit, anyone can go.
Yeah, but even that, I'm like, that felt weird. Like, that's a whole nother discussion. But
killing Quicksilver at the end of the
Yeah.
climax is kind of like, oh, well, I barely knew that guy.
yeah. And the other stuff with Hawkeye, I still think Hawkeye's been fucked since the first Avengers film. I do blame
definitely.
Whedon for that. The way he was written as a zombie, whatever guy. And they tried to rectify that, but it's like, I don't give a fuck about his family. I don't care about his wife or his two little, kids. Like, I don't give a shit. All the cute names or whatever. No, I don't give a damn. So it's like, yeah, they tried to fix stuff that they made a few missteps with, and it didn't work for me. So yeah, that's why it's my 5th least favorite.
Well, from what we know about Chris's taste so far, he hates children
Yeah.
and side characters that are comedic, I guess. So, fuck the Warriors 3 and Hawkeye's kids.
Yes.
So, with that, should we move on to our 4s for top films for our favorites? What's your number 4, Chris?
Mine is Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's because it's weird. When I first saw the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, it must have been back in 2013. By this time, we had already gotten Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 3, which I was not a fan of. And when I saw Guardians, I'm like, I don't know who these characters are. I'm not a big fan of the director, like James Gunn. He's made movies I enjoy, and other movies I'm like, this is just weird to me and just super off-putting, like stuff like
How
Super.
dare you besmirch the director of Slither?
How
dare you.
I like Slither. I like it. It's like a John Carpenter light, and that's fine. But I don't know. It just didn't all work for me. But the thing is, I was just like, okay, the concept's weird, and I don't know who these characters are. Again, I felt like very much like a general audience. But it's like, okay, it's like they're using music, and I guess it's kind of funny, but we'll see. Like Marvel at this time, they were trying to base a lot of their stuff on humor, and it was failing. Like with Thor 2, and I thought with Iron Man 3 especially, or both those films especially. Mm-hmm. But when the movie came out, I ate so much crow because it gave me the best sci-fi adventure I'd seen in years. Comedy adventure. Introduced me to this whole expanded universe, or the expanded galaxy of the Marvel Universe. Just the dynamic between all the characters, how they're able to set each person up so well, make me care about each of them, feel invested, and you actually have an emotional reaction to what's happening with their stories. And aside from the villain, with Ronan, yeah, he's forgettable. No one gives a shit.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, we
it's
don't care about him.
Yeah. Which is, thankfully I think Marvel's starting to rectify that with their villains. But it gave me what I wanted from like a Star Wars film at the time, which we hadn't gotten yet. We hadn't gotten Force Awakens and stuff like that. So this was my Star Wars again. It gave me that wonderful sci-fi, sci-fantasy adventure. And it introduced the world to Chris Pratt, which at the time he was just a TV actor. You know, he was
Yep.
on Parks and Rec, and it was like, whoa, I want to see this guy in more stuff. And so, yeah,
And
I
we
thought-
did.
Yeah,
That's Marvel for you, launching
did.
Chris's careers across the Hollywood.
Very true. But yeah, it was just a really special film for me, and it made me crow and made me admit that I was wrong and that I should give more films a chance despite trailers I didn't particularly care for. So there you go.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more on that one. I think I remember seeing the trailer for that one as well, and I was like, "Oh, is this gonna work?" And then I saw Rocket on top of Groot's shoulder shooting a machine gun, and I was like, "Oh, I think this is gonna work." And it's
I just remember like looking at this where I'm like, I have no idea who these people are. Looking at Nick, and Nick's like, I have a vague idea of who these people are. I'm like, oh god, if Nick doesn't give me a rundown of all of this, how is anyone supposed to know who these people are?
Look, I don't fuck with space in the Marvel comics, okay? They don't do great space opera. I go to Green Lantern for that shit. But, it's interesting that you say that because even the Marvel people, the creative team working on it, were like, after they made that movie and it worked, they were like, oh man, we really regret not going full bore on Thor, which is basically the origin of Thor Ragnarok. Is like, they, after Guardians, they realized, we can get away with anything.
Yeah, literally.
We can do whatever the fuck we want,
right.
and the fans will go with it as long as we can get fucking weird on this.
We can get weird,
and that's why we get like, you know, Scarlet Witch fucking a robot in the Infinity War, even though they thought that wouldn't play great to audiences. We got that storyline. We get the whole Scarlet Spider suit in Infinity War and all this weird shit. It just like thrown in there casually. And yeah, that's great. Travis, what is your number 4?
Well, I have to say the same thing as you, is that Guardians, I think, was on one of my top lists previously when we did this, and it has since fallen off.
I know, which is sad because it's such a great movie.
It is such a great movie, and I still love that movie. My number 4 will end up being Spider-Man Homecoming.
See, that's another one I had to push off here, and that was like murdering a child. I love Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh my god. Just, that movie was like... I was really worried about that one because I'm like, Spider-Man, we've done Spider-Man how many times now? Is this going to be a good movie or not?
Michael Keaton playing Birdman, playing the Vulture? Are you kidding me?
That was so amazing.
It's great.
Like, just when that reveal comes up, it's just such an oh fucking damn moment.
I haven't seen an audience react like that to character deaths in movies. And just that whole like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's such a perfect oh shit moment that the rest of the movie is great. I love it, but that is the best moment in that movie.
That's my favorite moment in any fucking Spider-Man movie up until this point right now, is that whole car ride with Michael Keaton.
Yes, that's such an awkward thing.
The dad prom ride from hell. Just like, great. Oh man, fantastic. Yeah, I love that film as well, but unfortunately that one had to be taken off of my list. My number 4 actually has to be let's see, what was my number 4? Oh yeah, it is Infinity War.
All right.
Yep. It actually, I rewatched it again.
So 3 times now?
No, actually it's only the twice, I think. Yeah, only twice. And I gotta tell you guys, it's not like the film is flawless, but the flaws that it does have, like, there is a weird thing with the pacing in which we spend a lot of time in between other people, but considering what we're doing story length-wise now, with giant events and stuff, I don't think there's flaws that you can really do anything without shortchanging some of the characters in it.
It's basically something we have to accept, as this is almost a new form of media. That's like, it's going to have flaws compared to the old form.
I'm sick of people trying to compare it like, well, what if you're a newcomer trying to see this movie as the first one? Fuck that. If you're trying to see this movie and not watched any of the previous ones, you're like trying to read the 5th Harry Potter book without reading any of the other ones.
Who's this Snape person?
You're the asshole in that situation. You're the douchebag that is like, well, I can't understand that. Motherfucker, like, go get a goddamn a streaming service. Disney's gonna have them all eventually, and just watch that shit.
And I mean, you can make that argument for comic books, because I would never want to start any of the Marvel comics because I have no fucking clue where to start. These are linear. You can literally look up on Wikipedia which ones to watch in which order. It's done for you.
Look, and it's weird that Infinity War plays with your expectations and that it almost, like, the characters almost do everything right from a movie perspective of the things that they should do to win the day at the end. They just don't. Because Thanos is a fucking badass and just keeps destroying their shit. Like, sorry, I got the Infinity MacGuffin Club, so none of your cute, like, I know you learned the right lessons and did the whole moral thing, Star-Lord, and you were brave enough to actually fulfill your promise to your girlfriend, but fuck you, I have the reality gem. Haha. And yeah, I just love what it does with expectations, and even we said this in the original review, but our audience lit up
Oh god.
when Captain America just shows up on screen, because they even built up that moment to be a big thing where he just shows up and we all know he's going to be there. We've seen the trailer, but we're all still excited anyway because we're all wrapped up into the fucking roller coaster ride, and it's just great. But yeah, that was my number 4, which means that they can't all be fun and games, so we got to go to the bottom 4. Chris, would you like to start us off with the bottom? Where's your number 4 for least favorite?
So as I said, I don't think this movie is this movie, I don't think is the worst, the 4th worst Marvel movie. I think it's just one of the more disappointing ones. And I'll get to the worst ones in my top worst 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this one, it's Captain America, the First Avenger. And let me say this. Chris Evans is fantastic in the film. It's like, wow, he nails Cap to a T. He comes off as like, he's just such an earnest person, a good man. And like even initially, like when he's all CGI small and shit, like when he goes to the, when Tommy Lee Jones, throws a grenade in the ground and he's the first one to dive down while everyone else is diving out of the way. He sacrifices
that's
himself
to cover.
It's
so
like,
funny you mentioned that, because
Cap.
that's the moment he sold me as the
That's
character.
Captain
I was like,
America.
oh, that's fucking Cap right there.
When even before he's a super soldier and all that shit, it's like, that's who Steve is. And I love that. The problem, some of the supporting characters are also very good too. Again, Tommy Lee Jones I thought was good. I thought, the actress who played, Peggy Carter?
Haley Atwell?
Was Haley Atwell. Yeah, I thought she was good. I like Sebastian Stan. I enjoyed Toby Jones as Artem Zola.
Neil McDonough as fucking Dum Dum Dugan, which might be one of the greatest little underrated castings right there.
Well, that's actually kind of going to my negative stuff, but there were some supporting characters I thought did a good job. The problem is that I just think Joe Johnston was the absolute worst person they could have picked to direct this film. He gets so much credit for being such a mediocre director.
Damn.
Wow.
I mean, he does not know how to. He does. I'm sorry, and especially when it comes to action films. Yeah, he did The Rocketeer. I've seen The Rocketeer. It's like, okay, it's visually interesting, like just the way that it looks, the hero looks. It's 1940s, and he's fighting the Nazis, and it's like, okay, I like the aesthetics, fun, but the way he shoots action scenes, his terrible use of CGI, everything's a green screen. This movie, nothing's choreographed well at all. It feels like I'm watching a Bryan Singer, original X-Men film. It's like people getting thrown on wires and shit, and people getting punched and they off screen. It's like, this is just so awkward. It's like, I wanted a Captain America World War II movie. It's like, I'm sorry, but it has to be somewhat gritty. He has to be killing Nazis.
He does kill Nazis. And he kills them.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He kills Hydra agents, which technically Hydra comes later on.
But they're like Nazis, but like even worse.
Of the Nazis.
They sig heil with 2 arms. That's how bad they are.
Yeah. They couldn't even show a Nazi swastika in this film, I don't think. Like, they covered that up as much as that possible. It's like, guys, come on, this is World War II. That symbol shows up. To me, it's just like, I like some of the characters, but just the way the film was shot was so unbelievably sloppy. Just like in that last, right before the battle inside the airplane with Red Skull, which, by the way, I thought, Hugo Weaving was terrible as the Red Skull. He was so over exaggerated, and his whole design too. It looked like he was just wearing a wax mask. It's like, you could have made that more realistic. I always thought maybe making him look like he was just deformed and he was like a burn victim, kind of like having it look, okay, give him like more of a shrunken appearance. I thought that would have been more interesting. But again, it's for a younger audience. You don't want to scare him. I get it, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like that last action sequence when Cap is running towards the plane in the CGI warehouse, which apparently is the size of 15 football fields. Because the plane is just going down this runway. It's all inside. Really just weird decisions, with that. Thankfully, the films got way better after that, but just so disappointing from what I initially wanted and just what I saw. Just a weird movie to me overall.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Travis, do you have a bottom number 4 then?
Well, no, I don't actually. I skipped that entirely. Yes, I absolutely have that.
Goddamn transitional question. You don't have to bite my head off over it.
But I will, because it's fun. My number 4 is actually, I picked it for very similar reasons as Chris picked Captain America, and it's Guardians 2.
Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't put that one on mine.
No?
Well, I agree with you. I know what, you do your reasons and then I'll jump in.
I mean, it's not that I can say it's a bad movie. It just has too many small problems compared to how much I liked Guardians 1. Mm-hmm. I just felt like the villain was interesting, but not interesting enough.
He is simultaneously like one of their better villains, but then also goes over the top near the end.
Yeah, the whole mother thing was kind of like, it was too much. Mm-hmm. Like, it almost went too over the top, and I'm like, they had the whole Mary Poppins thing, which I'm like, oh, I like that. They killed one of the characters they made even more likable in this movie. I'm just like, I don't know. I felt like there's too many small things in Guardians 2 that I'm just like, it doesn't gel with me. That having...
I'm sorry, keep going.
Yeah,
sorry.
Just thinking, I think I gave this movie a pretty decent rating when I first saw it, and just the more I thought back of it, I'm like, yeah, maybe I didn't like that movie as much as I thought I did.
Okay.
But there was like the great scene like with Rocket and in that ship with the...
Come a little bit closer.
Yeah, that's just an amazing scene, and there are good things to this movie, just too many small bad things.
The most on-screen deaths in one scene for Marvel films, except for, later.
Yeah. Surprise.
Chris, did you want to say something?
I did. I'm actually glad you brought that up, Travis, because I thought Guardians 2 is a much lesser film than the first one. There's still some good stuff where I enjoyed Ego a lot, his dynamic with Peter, stuff with his mother, the fact that he's like, yeah, and I put that tumor, I felt bad about putting that tumor in her brain, but he just felt bad about it. He has so much ego, get it, that he doesn't realize that that's such a horrible thing to do. And so I like that stuff, and I like Yondu, but again, killing him I thought was weird. But the big problem I have with that movie is just how much the humor just doesn't hit. And where they tried it's like, this is funny, right? Taserface is hilarious. The fact that he is named Taserface, we're going to keep making this joke for the next, 20 minutes, by the way. And you're going to think it's funny each and every single time. Yeah, it's like when humor just doesn't hit, I'd like a movie less and less and less. And that's what happened with me of Guardians 2. So I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I have a lot of problems with that movie.
It is structurally one of the weaker Marvel films in that its second act meanders and the Guardians spend a little too much time separated. The third act comes around a little too conveniently with how everything plays out together. The reason I didn't put it on my bottom is it is actually one of the most emotionally complex and successful of the Marvel films. And Lindsay Ellis does a much better video on this than I ever could, but she does a whole thing about Star-Lord's character arc in this. But everyone is more emotionally complex in this, in the fact that it deals with complex and flawed father figures in Yondu and saying goodbye to a person that was in your life and was horrible to you, but still you loved them on some level.
And you also realize that they weren't as horrible as you thought.
Sure. And it's like, it's that whole dad narrative of like, we're going to play on everyone's dad issues because we all got them. Rocket and Yondu's relationship of, pushing people away. Even Nebula doesn't become interesting until this movie, where she just has a sit down with Gamora in which she explains her end of things of just like, I just wanted you to fucking care about me one time. And like, you didn't have to be the best and let me be second best the whole time. And you fucking abandoned me. And it like showed her at the end there of like not even wanting to kill her because she simultaneously holds a grudge against Gamora, but yet is the only thing close enough she has to family either. There's a lot of sibling family stuff going on of just, there are two daughters of an unbelievably abusive dad that are taking it out on one another because that's what they learned as children. And, I mean, there's the whole ego thing, and of course, Yondu's whole redemption arc. Emotionally, it probably is one of the most effective deaths in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so I forgive a lot of that just because it works on such a feels level, I think, even if it doesn't work on a more of a logical one.
And I will give you that, and that's why obviously it's not very low on my list.
Sure. My number 4 will be, I don't know if this will be controversial at all, but it's actually the first Iron Man film.
Really?
Yeah, the one that kicked it all off. I rewatched it not too long ago, and I'll tell you what, it's really good for the first 2 acts. And I feel like that's what everyone remembers.
Yeah.
And then it pretty much falls apart in the third. Like, I'm still watching it, but I'm checking my phone, and I'm checking my email, and doing other stuff as Ironmonger's doing his thing. Because really, the best part of that is where he goes to that Middle Eastern country, I forget where it is, and cleans up shop. Everything after that is pretty much, standard. Like, we're just kind of waiting for the wrap up here. And yeah, I'm just, it's still it's good. Like, it's no by any means a bad film, and it's not even the worst Iron Man film, but it's just, I don't know, it's one of those ones that when I rewatch the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's not one of the ones that I'm super excited about rewatching. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the first stuff that they've grown out of, like the growing pains of references and all that stuff. And it basically starts off the whole reflection of the villain thing that is makes a lot of the fucking villains kind of boring in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That was mine. Chris, did you have something to say?
No, I just want to, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, because I was thinking, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, you know who I want to see in the Marvel Universe? Jeff Bridges. I think he'd be a really good addition. I don't know, maybe as a villain. I was like, oh my god, he was a villain. I forgot he was an Iron Man. I forgot he was, by his name, Tony! I thought he did all that stuff. I'm just like, yeah, because he's so forgettable in that movie. And that, yeah, you're right, that third act's about 10 minutes long. It feels like a lot of third acts of superhero films from the 90s, where it's like, oh, yeah, they're going to fight the villain, and it lasts just really briefly. That was weird. It's just kind of a wrap-up of all the cool stuff that we enjoyed in the first 2 acts. It's not as complete. So, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because, yeah, it's again, it establishes the Marvel Universe, so you got to give credit for that, but that third act really sours things. So, I mean, yeah, I can see that.
Wonder Woman has the same. I like to think that Wonder Woman is the Iron Man of the DC universe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right.
Or I mean, at least it should be, because it should be the one that they base everything off of and expand outwards from. But it has some structural shit in it and a boring main CG villain that we fight at the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that was my number 4. But you know what? Let's move on to the good ones again. What's our number 3s? Chris, what do you got for number 3 for your top?
I mean, you guys already brought this up, so we don't have to talk about it for long, but it's Captain America Civil War.
That's also my number 3.
No, there you go. I mean, what I liked about the movie is that, surprisingly, it's based on a comic which I despise. I'm
glad I'm not the only one in that.
Oh, no, you're not. You're not.
I mean, from what you described to me, I was like, that seems bullshit to me.
When that comic book came out in 2006 or 2007, whenever it did, people, I mean, they initially loved it. It was like, yeah, the heroes are punching each other. This is amazing. But it kind of broke the Marvel Universe for several years, just like most of their books and the stuff that happened with Spider-Man. The events that led to that was when Spider-Man got terrible for a decade.
Don't you even start me on Brand New Day. Don't you?
That's what it was. That was initially kind of the cause of it. So I mean, we won't talk comics, but so I was skeptical. But I walked in, like, wow, this is just giving me a really character-driven Avengers movie. It kind of gave me what I wanted from Age of Ultron. It's just like it's just all about the relationship. It's setting up, dynamics between people, between Vision and Scarlet Witch, which I thought, well, for the first time I liked Scarlet Witch. And I like kind of her relationship with Vision. The fact that it kind of puts Tony and a Cap to the test for the first time, where it's like, I totally bought that they were friends. Because I never thought Joss Whedon was good at writing Steve and Captain America particularly. It's like, oh, Captain America's the guy, he's really old. Let's give him, like, I understood that reference. Or it's like, don't swear, you guys. It's like Joss Whedon read the 1940s Captain America and that was it. He kind of had the vision like, oh, Cap's kind of like, he's the stern, serious leader who's like, no joking. But the Russos got Cap. and who he is as a person. He's not just this stiff. And so I appreciate that, the Russos gave him more to do. He has more of a personality, just like he is in the comics, Joss. So I just like that dynamic. And I mean, and it gives us probably, arguably, for me, still the best action sequence in any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I agree.
I mean, that airport fight is beautiful.
And that's even before Giant Man comes around.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, this is amazing. The CGI's on point. I love the back and forth between all the characters, what they're saying to each other. It's funny. You care about what's happening. It made me care about Rhodey for the first time, which I was never a big fan of Don Cheadle as War Machine. I'm a Terrence Howard guy.
I'm a Terrence Howard man.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't help it.
Come on, man.
But I was like, for the first time when he goes down, when he goes down, it's like, I actually cared. There are stakes to this, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, I just think it's a great film, and I mean, for me, it's kind of a toss-up between that and Infinity War as being my favorite Avengers movie, but I think I had to give it to Civil War. So,
yeah.
And I think it is interesting because you got to remember that this is actually not technically an Avengers movie. It was the Captain America movie.
Yeah.
But it really is Avengers something or another.
But that being said, it still is Cap's central story.
It is. And
Sure. Yeah.
again, I do love, because with that airport scene, it's great because they keep racketing it up and they keep just introducing characters like, ooh, you didn't see, like, ooh, look, it's Ant-Man. And they're like, we're all excited because, yeah, Ant-Man's is great. And they're like, nope, getting more. Just like keep giving us more in that fight. And that fight did a twofold job, where it did a great job of, showing just an amazing fight scene, but also showing us like, hey, guess what? This is happening. This is coming. Spider-Man is home.
Yes.
It's just amazing.
It gave me the Spider-Man that I had wanted for years. Don't cast a 45-year-old man pretending to be a high school student, okay? Give me a kid who's dealing with kid problems, and he's a part of a blue-collar family. He's just trying to what's the goddamn line that he says in the film? You're just there to help the little guy. It's like, that's who Spider-Man is. Mm-hmm. Thank you for doing that. And so, yeah, keep going.
If someone told you I was young enough to play a high school student, somebody lied. But I also, let's not forget that it's the film that introduced everybody to, hey, who's this Black Panther guy?
Yeah.
Like, he is awesome. And that was great. And yeah, I love the third act of that one too, of just like the emotional climax of you think everything's done. Like at that point, it's like, no, we got some bombs to drop left. And I just love the line of like, don't bullshit me, Rogers. Did you know? And it's like, yeah, I did. And it's like it's a conflict that you buy because it's like, I don't care. He killed my mom. And it's just
great line.
Downey Jr.'s really acting his ass off in that fucking movie. Like right at that point, he's giving it his all.
You can really see in that movie that Iron Man is he's getting worn out. Like, he's getting worn out, and he can't take it anymore.
Well, that whole movie is just showing him as becoming the villain of the whole universe, really.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Hey, guys, we got to get reined in. I'm sorry, what do you mean, we?
Yeah, Mr. making 2 giant robot killing machines.
I'm sorry, weren't you the one that made Ultron and that whole thing, and then your answer to the giant killer robot was to make another killer robot? Like, I don't know if you're the one to judge us on that one, Tony, my man. But also, you have to take it from General Ross's perspective of when he lays it out like, hey, you're an independent but American-affiliated group that goes to other countries, creates international incidents, and exerts your will against anyone else's authority.
I feel like the UN would have something to say about that.
And you kind of go, ooh, yeah, I mean... Yeah, that doesn't sound great when you break it down like that.
I mean, America kind of already does that kind of shit, and no one likes it. That's why they hate us.
Yeah, I mean... so that's great. Travis, I think it's your turn for number 3.
No, that was my number 3.
No, it was your number 3?
Yes, it was also my number 3.
That's right, you had the same one. Oh, so it's me turn.
Yes, your turn.
Number 3. So it is the first Avengers film. Let's just keep talking about Avengers films.
Oh yeah, just keep going.
This one is actually not probably, if I was ranking these was just straight best films, it probably wouldn't make it to the top 3 or maybe even the top 5 because it has a rough beginning as well. Like the first 20 minutes are kind of like, it's the SHIELD stuff, and like there's the dumb line about, oh, Jeremy Renner as the Hawk in the fucking cockpit or whatever. But I'll tell you what, the minute that Captain America and Iron Man share screen time and they just go to each other, Captain, Mr. or Mr. Stark, and I'm like, oh shit, it's on now. That movie just cooks up until one of the most amazing third acts anyone has ever seen for a comic book film. And that
It was the first one.
the badass moments, like everything in the third act of that movie is just character moment. Not only is it badass, but it speaks to everyone's character, like Loki catching the arrow, but it then blows up in his face like, haha, you're not as smart as you think you are. Hulk and Thor teaming up to take down a snake monster, but then Hulk punching him later is like, I remember the whole hammer thing, dick. Like, I still can't watch the spin around camera where they all stand in a circle. I still can't watch that without getting the chills.
Just a little giddy, huh?
Mm-hmm. Also, like, Captain America just taking charge, like, you do this, you do this, you do this, and no one going, well, why is he in charge or whatever? Like, no, everyone just does it because, like, that's Captain America's superpower, is that I'm the leader.
And also just Hulk smash.
And Hulk, oh god, what a great line. It's just like, Hulk, smash. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah! Like, man, if there, maybe AC, like, there should have been some, solid music to that for, like, Thor Ragnarok or something, but.
And I actually, that movie doesn't make my list because of the plot reasons, but I do agree with you that just like the fact that was the movie that we're like, oh shit, we're in this. We are in this fucking universe.
That whole third act is just a fucking end zone dance of like, yeah, we fucking did it.
We made it.
And now let's just watch some fireworks go off and just celebrate. Like, but yeah, that is my number
that
3.
Third act basically is the 4th of July in movie form.
But yeah, what a great time. I always remember your first Avengers film. Should we move on to our
to the downers?
Our downers, number 3s. Now we're getting to the deeper stuff. I'm wondering what Chris has got for his number 3 of least favorites.
I mean, my third least favorite film is Iron Man 2, and it's just because it was a really disappointing follow up to the first film in almost every capacity. This is where they try to explore his alcoholism, but don't really. It's like a half measure, and that just doesn't work. I think the villains are completely wasted. This was during like, what's the guy? I forgot his name. That's the guy who plays Whiplash.
Damn it.
Right? The wrestler guy.
Yes. From Wrestler. Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. Thank you. It's like, this was supposed to be, like he did the wrestler, this is his comeback, and he's gonna be the next big Marvel villain or whatever, and it's just like they barely use him.
It's not my bird.
He's not my bird. Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. It's like, I like that line, that's funny. And this is controversial among, the film crowd in general, but I am not a big fan of Sam Rockwell. I'm just like, I don't really get it. Really? Why people think he's the greatest thing ever. It's like, I think he's fine. In this movie, he's trying to be the evil version of Tony Stark, and it just comes off as so annoying. Like, you're just trying. Again, a lot of the reason I think this movie fails is the writing and the humor. And again, like some of the characters. Like, they try to be funny, but it just feels so inauthentic and just super awkward and kind of cringy to me. It's like the stuff that just doesn't make sense. It's like when he starts fighting Rhodey in the other Iron Man armor when Tony's drunk and they're fighting in the house. Is like, what's happening? I guess you have to have an action sequence because there hasn't been that much action since Monaco, which in itself was just kind of, it's like, oh, he just kind of pushed him over. Because it's just a guy with whips. That's it. He's just like, all right, yeah, they cut through stuff. I'm just going to stop you, and then that'll be it. It's just a weird film to me. And it deals with Tony's father issues. But even then, I thought they did a better job in, honestly, Civil War with that kind of stuff. It's like it's a movie that wants to do all these things, but it's a half measure each way. And it just kind of comes out to being really forgettable to me. And it was the first time where I was like, oh, maybe this Marvel thing isn't going to work too well if they're going to keep pumping out sequels like this. Like, this was the first time I went, didn't care for that too much. So, because this was directly after Iron Man. Because then they did Thor and Captain America. So it's like, ooh, I just wasn't too crazy about it. And it was the first time I'm like, maybe you want to slow your roll of this whole Avenger Initiative thing. Let's get on solid footing here. But again, of course, I was wrong initially. But still, I think Iron Man 2 is a very disappointing sequel.
Indeed. I can't disagree with any of that. I'm actually really interested to see what your bottom ones are. Now, I know we've missed out on one in particular, so there's only 2 left for you. So I'm wondering where it falls.
We're getting there. We are definitely getting there.
Travis, what would be your bottom 3? Or bottom
Well,
3?
my bottom 3, the third one is only the one with 3 in the name, oddly enough, and it is Iron Man 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were with me in that one. We liked that one.
I guess I changed my mind.
Did you?
Yeah.
You betray me?
I did.
You don't love me anymore.
And I feel like that's why I felt so weird that you mentioned the fact that Iron Man 1 is on your list, because Iron Man 1's the only Iron Man I remember ever liking. Because I might have partial for that one just because it was the first one. I'm just like, oh my god, this is actually happening. This is awesome. But Iron Man 3, it's just kind of like, it had cool moments. It had cool scenes. It's one of the few movies where I'm just like, yeah, I watched it and I remember kind of liking it. I also have no desire to ever go back and watch it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I can't actually pick out anything I specifically were like, oh my god, let's go back to that, because I did not mind the Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I thought that whole plot twist was actually clever.
I thought that was hilarious.
I don't get why people bitch about that.
Yeah, that is not the problem I have with this movie. But I still didn't think the actual villain was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't trade up. That's for sure.
So I think that's my main problem. It's like, oh, I like the plot twist, but you didn't really go anywhere with it.
Going from Ben Kingsley to Guy Pearce isn't actually exactly a lateral move.
No, it's not an upper move either. It's kind of like, and I did kind of like the whole storyline with the kid they had there, and it did deal with some of Tony's PTSD, but I just felt like, meh, just kind of meh to me.
I mean, I liked it. I like the back to the basics. I think it has a much stronger third act than almost any of the other Iron Man movies.
Had a cool fight.
Yeah. I mean, it even has more of a standard like character resolution with Gwyneth Paltrow actually being in there, Pepper.
Yep.
All the different Iron Man suits. But I get you there. That leaves only me, huh? Mm-hmm. Mine is gonna be the number 3, Incredible Hulk. The redheaded stepchild of the Marvel Universe.
I actually, to be honest, completely forgot that would have technically been part of the Marvel Universe.
Me too. That's why it's on my list, is that I when I was looking up my list, I was like, oh shit, I forgot about the Incredible Hulk. This one is interesting to me because there's not a whole lot wrong with it. It just doesn't leave much of an impact on you either way.
Or the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, they don't reference it a whole lot, and there's not really a reason to. I mean, I do kind of like what's his name is Emil Blonsky, the Abomination. Fuck.
Oh God.
I forget his name, but
Tim Roth.
Yes, Tim Roth. He's doing a fun stuff of trying to fight the Hulk 1-on-1 with the Captain America serum or whatever. That I thought was funny. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of Hulk sequences actually in it. Edward Norton makes a very interesting Bruce Banner. And also I do agree with a lot of his changes. I think they would have made the movie a little bit better. But, the whole suicide sequence, I thought that would have been a little dark, but it would have given a lot of character stuff to a character I thought was a little thin. Also, it was back when, no, go ahead, Chris.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just, which they reference in Avengers.
Yes, they do reference it.
And it's like, what?
Well, I like
didn't even include that.
That's why I like Joss Whedon's Avengers so much, is that he goes backwards and takes some of that stuff of like, no, that was a good idea. We should use that.
Yeah.
Like, he takes a lot of the better elements from the previous movies and scripts and stuff and like, no, we should definitely use that shit.
Sure.
And yeah, again, like they probably will never reference anything from that movie ever again anyway, so it's not like it has any lasting impact.
True.
So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. So
that's fair.
With that, should we just move on to our tops again?
Top 2.
We're up to number 2. We're in the end stretch here. Chris, what is your second favorite Marvel film?
No, it's already been brought up, but it's Spider-Man: Homecoming.
God, I love that movie.
I don't get because there is a certain amount of the fan base in the MCU just that doesn't like that film as much as a lot of other people do. And I get it because we've had so many Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. I think this is the first proper Spider-Man film. This is the first time the character has actually been done right. And it's focusing on his high school years, which I think is what you should do with this character. A big part of his, tenure within the comics is him attending high school, him being a teenage superhero, which was super unique. Unless you were a sidekick, you were never like a standalone hero, just, living your day-to-day life, just attending school, trying to date girls, but then going to save New York City. And that's what I love so much about this iteration of Spider-Man. It finally gave me that teenage version of the character. And you casted, which I think is one of the best additions to the Marvel Universe in terms of actors, of Tom Holland. He nails it so good. And the fact that he even has, small things, he has like a New York accent, which...
Yep.
Tobey Maguire and, what's his name, the other guy, didn't have a New York accent at all. It's just like, come on, guys, you live in Brooklyn for all your life. You don't have that? It's like, okay, fine.
You have to have that accent. Like, there's literally no escaping it.
He lives in a school with black people in it. That's pretty cool.
No, I know. There's oh my God, there's like an ethnically diverse cast. It's like, yes, that's New York City.
Yeah.
You ever been there? And just like, and again, the film is all about his relationships. It's him trying to get a date. It's him hanging out with his best friend. This whole group of friends. I love how they change all the characters up with Ned Leeds. Flash Thompson's kind of, he's not the football jock. He's just the douchebag geek. He's just, he's smart, but he's just kind of the asshole among Peter's group of friends. I'm like, that's kind of a fun take. They combined elements from the 60s version of Spider-Man and the Ultimate Universe Spider-Man, and they came up with this wonderful concoction. And I also think that Michael Keaton as the Vulture, it's the best Spider-Man villain by far.
Oh, yeah.
Because he has such a personal connection to Peter.
Down.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like, and you guys brought up before, that reveal. It's like, holy shit. Didn't expect that whatsoever. And the whole dynamic back and forth with him in the car, just Peter's reactions to it. And of course, above all, they introduced the greatest of all of Spider-Man's foes, the Shocker. Not only just one shocker, but two shockers. And I can't wait for that moment where he's like, Shocker! Which is a reference to the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. But anyway, It's a great film. It's one I own and I watch regularly.
Oh man, you guys are making me reminisce about Homecoming so much. I don't even understand why it's not on my list anymore.
Right?
So good. So good.
Shame.
It's fucking great. Also, to your point, I believe Spider-Man Homecoming is controversial just because everyone has their version of Spider-Man from when they read it.
Yeah, I guess they want the whiny, mopey, 45-year-old Spider-Man who can't hold a job. I get it. No, I understand. That's what I want to read.
Well, that's 60. Sure. That's 60 Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is 60 Spider-Man. That's what Sam Raimi liked. That's what he made. Yeah. And when I was growing up in the 90s, Spider-Man was different. He was kind of a dick. Like he wasn't, mopey around. He was smart. He was assertive in certain situations. And then, the suit gives him even more confidence. And at the point where he would become a jerk, his uncle gets killed, and then he kind of reforms right then. It was like, I got to be responsible with this power. And then, of course, they switch out the dad role for Tony Stark. They do a lot of smart shit in there. Mm-hmm. Like,
that's a great place to put Tony Stark, is in those movies.
No, that's great. Travis, what's your number 2?
Mine is Thor Ragnarok. We've mentioned this movie obviously previously in this, but god damn, that movie's fun. Like,
you stole my number 2. That's my number 2.
That's your number 2 as well. All right, well, let's say how much we love that movie together. Because
let's do it. So the Marvel movies have already, at this point, they are basically made for people like me. Thor Ragnarok is the first movie that feels like it was made specifically for me.
I just remember watching that first trailer. I don't think I watched the trailer. I was just watching Nick because I'm like, this is everything. This is everything Nick ever wanted in a movie, and I know that.
It's got Planet Hulk. We got Thor as space pirate, which is amazing. Gladiator Hulk. Neon up the wall. I can taste neon. The movie's so fucking 80s in synth.
Valkyrie's in this.
Valkyrie comes up in one of the most amazing, painting CG sequences of, amazing Pegasi.
Yes. And I absolutely love Cate Blanchett. Cate
Blanchett is my new celebrity crush as Hela, the fucking death demon.
It's so weird when you watch that and realize Are you sure Thor's not the adopted one? Because damn, her and Loki seem really fucking similar. They are just drama queens, and I love it.
Well, you sound like him. And yeah, and if that isn't all the top, Jeff Goldblum, graces us, with his presence. I love that Jeff Goldblum is basically just doing a Jeff Goldblum impression at this point.
He's gone.
That's great.
He's gone full Kirk.
They've stolen my champion. Take to the streets. But it's just every time he opens his mouth, it's fucking gold. Like it's just gold coming out of his mouth.
I also do remember reading something that I'm not sure how true this is or not, but obviously this was partially due to Guardians, because they're like, oh yeah, let's go full on, but apparently also had a lot to do with Ghostbusters, oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah.
Where Chris Hemsworth plays the secretary.
Yeah, and apparently someone looked at it and realized, holy shit, Chris Hemsworth's funny.
Yeah, whoever made that brainwave is like, they were sitting on a gold mine with Chris Hemsworth. It's just, all the other Marvel movies are like, it's like Marvel is just courting me, and it's like a great relationship me and Marvel are having, but Thor Ragnarok is like our anniversary date, where Marvel went out and made it real special. They got my favorite, they took me to my favorite restaurant, they put on my favorite album, and then they took me back to our place and made sweet, sweet love to me in the gentle way. And yeah.
That was way too descriptive.
I think it's an apt metaphor, but, yeah, I mean, the only reason it's not number one is because I also feel that Scourge's backstory is like one deleted scene away from being an actually good backstory of him always being ignored in the movie.
Should have totally been at least by.
They should have, they had one deleted scene away from like them, her waking up with another chick. But there should have been one scene with Scourge being actually in the previous movies, but we never noticed him before. Like that would have been funny and made his character a little bit more fully fledged out. And yeah, the whole like using the what's the name of that song? The fucking
Pilgrim?
Yeah, the Pilgrim song twice, and it's totally earned both times. And it makes me not like Infinity War as much because they don't play that song in it. Like
actually loses points for that.
There's Clancy motherfucking Brown as Surtur in the beginning that we all forget about, but holy shit, Clancy Brown is a giant fuck off demon in the beginning.
That's true.
That's great. That's fucking fantastic. Yeah, I can't believe it's only my number 2, but to see your number 1, we'll have to go to the bottom again. Chris, what was your bottom? What was your number 2 for least favorites?
It would have to be Thor.
Thor number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah, the first Thor. Yeah.
Not digging on the Thor movies, huh? Pre-Ragnarok.
Yeah. Well, the thing is just it tried to introduce a world which it just wasn't ready to, in my opinion, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And you did it with, Kenneth Branagh, who had previously done Shakespeare, a lot of Shakespeare stuff. And people were like, Hamlet and all that. It's like, he's perfect for that stuff. Thor is, based in, in Norse mythology and, in poems and shit. He can do that, right? And the thing is, it just didn't work because so much of it was, they tried to convey a lot of it with humor. And again, if it's not written well, then and if it consistently falls flat, then it's super uninteresting to me. And that's what they tried to do with Thor. It's like, yeah, it's a fish out of water story, but it's like, it's him getting hit by a car, not once, but twice. It's him interacting with these, kind of schlubby humans, Natalie Portman, who basically is just there to go, oh, Thor, he's so pretty. It's like, that's her dialogue throughout the entire thing.
In her defense, Chris Hemsworth is very pretty.
No, he is a handsome man, but it's just like, I don't know, be an actual character.
Yeah, have a personality.
They have a personality. Don't find. And then you got Kat Dennings, who is just awful. I'm sorry. I mean, not as a person, but I mean as just that performance. And it's like she's supposed to be the funny sidekick, but every line of dialogue they gave her just made me just groan in the theater. It just wasn't good. And it's again, the fight sequences. It very much feels like those early kind of 2000 X-Men days. It's a lot of wire work, a lot of people throwing each other around, especially between like him and between Thor and Loki. It's like, this doesn't really work all that well. and you have some questionable CGI when they go to Jotunheim with the ice giants. It's like, okay, I get it.
Man, that scene is dark as shit. Trying to hide.
It's
the
like I don't
there.
really know what's happening. It's like, especially if you watch in 3D, I was like, I don't know how you see anything. And a lot of Dutch angles for some reason. Which I guess that's Kenneth Branagh's thing. Yeah, it's just kind of a super mixed bag in the movie. I just didn't enjoy whatsoever. It didn't make me interested in the character at all. We didn't really get that humor that we would later get with Thor, like in Avengers and then later with Thor Ragnarok. It's just like, this is kind of a boring character. It's like, I like Loki. That's what I can say about it. I like this guy. But everything else, I'm like, this is just so forgettable. It's a movie I have never watched again. Which again, that movie came out in 2011, so I haven't watched it since then. So yeah, just don't really care about it.
Yeah, well, that's a shame. Travis, what's your number 2?
Well, my number 2 is probably stealing Chris's number 1 if I had to take a guess. It is Thor 2, The Dark World.
The Dark World.
'Cause
Elves and shit.
Elves and shit, indeed. That's the movie, I guess. I don't know. The main villain is, again, continuing in the long line of boring Marvel villains that just don't care about. This movie gave the annoying sidekick a sidekick, and I'm like,
oh, they did do that.
That's a thing that happens.
That was dumb.
Yeah. I'm like, no. Why would you bring this character back, let alone give her someone else to do it? And just that whole meow meow thing. I'm like, oh my god. I don't like that movie at all.
So that is also my number 2.
Yay.
And technically, it is, I recognize that, it is the weakest Marvel film. Like, it actually is. Mm-hmm. Except for the fact that it has shit that I like in it.
It does.
Like,
and that sucks. Almost.
I like the fact that it looks like an 80s Trapper Keeper. Like, that is really cool to me. Like, it looks like an 80s sci-fi cover, and the story is never as cool as the book cover ever is.
Except Thor Ragnarok basically did all that better.
With, like, laser rowboats and fucking, flying horses and dragons and
I think
shit.
The only
bridges.
The only reason this one is not my number 1 is because of the funeral scene. Mm-hmm. That's probably the only reason that it's not number 1, because that scene was beautiful.
I like the portal sequence near the end, too. That was kind of neat.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
That was like a neat... I mean, it did seem like someone who really played Portal recently, but... So that's your number 2 and my number 2 as well, which means we can move on to... our number ones! So number 1, favorite Marvel films. Chris, start us off. What's your favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe film? Drumroll, please. What is it?
Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yes!
Yeah, that's mine too.
Yeah.
Across the board.
So it's everyone's number 1?
Yes, it is.
It's just because this movie showed what the Marvel Universe could be. Just how smartly written, presenting a character in such a way it's like, I really am deeply invested in his story, that this is the alternate version of Thor, where it's like, this is a fish out of water story, but that's not the focus. It's him dealing with it in a very mature way that's not in a humorous way, but in a very serious matter. And him having to create all his relationships while just dealing with all the stuff that happened 70 years ago. It's an eloquently told story. It's smart. The action sequences I still think are some of the best. Like at this point, this was the best of the choreographed, grounded action sequences that we got in a Marvel movie.
That knife fight between him and Winter Soldier after the beard, that fucking is awesome. That's great shit.
Absolutely. All the fight sequences are great. Even the last, the third act is wonderful, even with all the helicarriers and everything, and just like his final battle of Bucky and that reveal and the emotion with those sequences. It's beautiful.
I'm with you to the end, Buck. I'm with you to the end.
Absolutely. And that stuff, and this is the first time when I really liked Black Widow. I thought Scarlett Johansson got a lot to do. I thought Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury got a lot to do. It changed the Marvel Universe in terms of reintroducing Hydra in a really cool way. It's like, oh, they've always been around. They've just kind of were the origins of S.H.I.E.L.D. They've laid the groundwork for S.H.I.E.L.D. They are S.H.I.E.L.D. It's brilliant and how it affected all the other movies, even the TV shows, for better. I'm no fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I think that's the reason why the show later became such a success with fans.
It got better. It got a lot better after that, actually.
Yeah, it had a super positive effect and everything. And again, going back to some of the more character stuff and addressing things from the first Avenger, his last conversation with Peggy. And when you realize that she's suffering from Alzheimer's, and it's so tragic, and that realization that comes on his face where she's forgotten again, and her telling is like, I'm always going to be here to give my girl that last dance. It's just like, wow.
And I want to talk about that
another
scene too.
level. Oh, sure. It was on another level to me. It corrected all the mistakes I thought that the first Avenger had made. And for the first time really showed that after Avengers, what Cap is more than just, making references and he's just the stalwart leader. It's like, no, he's a complicated person. I think it's a brilliant movie. I can't think of anything really wrong with it. Even some small, like Arnim Zola coming back as a television screen and providing exposition in a really cool way and laying the groundwork later for Civil War and the whole entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't have anything to complain about. It's just, it's on the same level as The Dark Knight to me. It's like, this is just fantastic filmmaking. And anytime people say they don't like Captain America, I'd say, go watch The Winter Soldier.
Yep.
And I think always they change their minds on the character after that. So yeah, to me, it's brilliant film.
Yeah, and I know I've mentioned this, like, basically anytime we've mentioned this movie, I've mentioned what that scene does to me, is that the one with Peggy Carter, is that when watching that movie the first time, it stuck with me. I'm like, it's a good scene and all, but it seemed like it should be more important than it is. And I was kind of like, why is this scene sticking out to me so much? And then I realized it later is that how harsh it is for a character moment, because later on when you get Bucky appearing and you realize, oh shit, Peggy Carter and Bucky have both forgotten Captain America. They have both forgotten Steve Rogers.
They're the only two people alive that remember who he is, and not
and
just
the only two that believed in Steve Rogers, not Captain America.
That remember who he was behind the mask,
and
that
is
both forgotten about him.
Heartbreaking. Like,
there's no wasted scene in that movie.
There is not, and that is one of the. It's so weird because it's something you kind of have to realize later, but it's such a fucking important scene.
There's no scene in that movie that's not doing 2 or 3 things on multiple levels.
And I've actually pointed that out to a lot of people who didn't realize the first time, and they're just like, they look at me with such like, why would you tell me that? I'm like, because I love your despair.
It's just dark and it's just depressing. It's funny you should mention Dark Knight, Chris, because I also feel that Winter Soldier is one of the greatest films that's about 9/11 that's not about 9/11
yes, sure.
Since The Dark Knight, and of just like the whole like, this isn't freedom, this is fear, and Captain America just sticking up for like, fuck you and your goddamn overlooking eye, you damn bastard, just sticking it to Nick Fury.
It's the first Marvel movie that critiques our world in a very mature way.
It's the little shit. It's the little victories that make that movie great. Just the winning over the audience by inches with, like, the list of stuff that he has to check out. The growing list of stuff. It's different in depending on what country you watch that movie in. Yeah, like that's fucking great. Like, it has different stuff on it. The moments between Cap and Black Widow when they're trying to get out of that mall, and Cap's thinking about a soldier, and he's like, I'll take the 2 guys on the left, you go downwards and try and get rid of civilians out of the way. And Black Widow's just like, no, just hold me and pretend like I said something funny, and now kiss me because people don't like affection. He's thinking like a soldier, she's thinking like a spy. Yeah. It's character development. It takes 3 seconds. It's not that goddamn hard, DC. It's not that hard. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, you did.
And
the only thing I can actually complain about this movie and later on movies is the beginnings of the love interest for Steve.
Oh, yeah. In Winter Soldier, it's not
barely there,
you
but
could
it's the start.
Basically forget about it.
But it is the start, and they do bring it back.
I actually like that scene because it reveals that she works for Fury. Yeah. And I love that Fury's like, dude, this is just what I was talking about. I know that you're bleeding and dying, but this is why no one likes you. And, the moments in that movie just of the full of fuck yeah, of just like, Batroc being on screen for the first time, and I'm just like, I can't believe I'm watching Batroc on a live screen, and people are watching him. Like, that's weird to me. Like,
also just probably one of the just best lines in a Marvel movie. Just like, can't do that, sir. Captain's orders.
Captain's orders. They earn that. That moment shouldn't work. That's a dumb, cheesy moment.
It's so good.
But what they do it in the movie, they earn it, and they fucking sell the shit out of it to the point where I dare you not to pump your fist in the air and go, yeah!
And to be fair, DC did do a similar moment in Justice League with Superman when he finally brought him back, so I'll give them that. But
similar, not as good though.
No, that's the thing about Marvel, is that they've done such a long run of doing this that they can earn it off of anything at
How
this
many
point.
great fucking moments are in that movie with just Captain America of just like, hey, are you more than I thought you were just more than that shield, and he drops that shield in his helmet like, you want to find out, motherfucker?
Bitch, what? I will bring you down.
You French fuck, come over here, you son of a bitch. Like, and just even the fucking elevator sequence where he slowly realizes,
Oh my God, yeah.
and he's just like, okay, before we go get started, anyone want to just get out?
And I'm pretty sure someone got out of that scene. 'Cause I wouldn't. I'd be like, yeah, excuse me, I'm actually on the 3rd floor. Sorry, wrong button.
Wouldn't it be funny if there was just some intern in there by mistake?
Yeah.
Like, it was the one guy, like, shit, oh wait,
I actually just wanted his autograph.
Steve, no. Yeah. What a great fucking movie. And then even it ends, the end point too, with the beginning of the on your left thing, which I know is just spawned memes. It's like they were waiting to troll DC with that one. And
I'm sorry, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, and then he wakes up with Falcon on his left, and he's like, on your left, and it's like, and that's the end line. This is end line. I'm like, damn it, brought it full circle. This film is amazing. Like, every time I watch it, I see something new, and I love it a little bit more. And God, that movie's so good. But yeah, last minute thoughts before we move on, Chris.
I mean, just bringing up memes. Hell Hydra. I mean, that
yes.
was a cultural moment.
Oh man!
So there you go.
That was like such a huge thing for like months after that movie came
Mm-hmm.
out, of just the Hail Hydra, and it was funny every time.
It was
every time they have a new thing bringing it in. We're like, oh man, it was so great. But yeah, should we move on to our bottom then? Let's
We're leaving it off week, huh?
Let's bring it down. Chris, I can't imagine what is your least favorite Marvel film. Not through process of elimination, that's for sure. But without further ado, what is your least favorite Marvel film?
Avengers Infinity War. Fuck that movie. I don't understand. Who are these characters? They're showing up randomly.
Who's this purple guy?
This guy, this Thanos. No, I can't. In good
Which
conscience
purple
say that.
guy?
Yeah. To be fair, actually, Avengers Infinity War is my 6th favorite film. It almost made the list, but I still love Thor Ragnarok more. But still, it's an amazing movie. No, I mean, you guys already brought up. It's Thor 2, The Dark World. It capitalized on everything I hated from the last film. More of those dumb human characters, Natalie Portman, Kat Dennings. One of the worst villains, I think. I mean, it is the worst villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One of the worst villains in any comic book movie. There's just nothing to like about it. I mean, Loki's in it. I like Loki. I like his dynamic with the mother. But that's really it. It's just, it's a film I never want to see again. It's people have forgotten. Thankfully, because of Thor: The Dark World, we inevitably got Thor Ragnarok. So I guess I can thank it for that. But yeah, it's just an awful film, best forgotten.
Yep. Like, there's not much more to say about it. Like, I mean, they wasted a Doctor Who in there. Don't waste a Doctor Who. Come on.
Yeah, but it's Doctor Who no one liked. Come on.
Chris is like, that's the one part I'm not upset about. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Christopher Eccles, asshole. But yeah, Travis, what is your number one least favorite Marvel film?
All right, I will mention too is that Infinity War was also my 6th favorite. Black Panther just beat it out, and I couldn't even it's pretty fucking close. Those are inches barely.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like all the top 8 Marvel films are fighting for space on the top.
They really are. But for me, number 1 was not a really hard choice for a worst movie, and that's Iron Man 2 for me.
Mine too.
Because I legitimately forgot that it existed. This was not it's passable that you just don't watch this. No, I legitimately was we're watching Iron Man 3. What happened to number 2? Wait, there's a 2, wasn't there?
It's interesting going back and watching it, because I did recently. And
I almost have to, because I literally remember no actual parts about it.
There's a lot of Peace Mover stuff in there.
Yeah, that's where Black Widow's introduced, right?
Black Widow's introduced there. Agent Coulson gets a lot more development in there, so that you care about him a little bit more in Avengers when he finally dies. There's the whole setup with Thor's movie in the middle there. There's a lot of setup that really drags down the second act of that movie before they knew how to do the Avengers cameo things right.
Right.
So it's I don't know. It's like one of those episodes in a TV show where not a whole lot happens, character wise or plot wise, but it sets up what happens. It's like the third from last episode of a season. Well, it's not the last 2 episodes where everything's going to really go down, where we have the cliffhanger and then the ultimate conclusion. But we got to get there, so let's set up all the pieces on the chessboard, and that's like it's like the 7th episode or something, you know. It's like one of those. So, yeah, I mean, I don't outright hate any Marvel movie. I really don't. But Iron Man 2 is just not. It's not really necessary to the whole thing. Like, I feel like you could really skip a whole lot out on it. I don't feel like even though they introduced Scarlet Witch, I mean, the introduction you get in Avengers basically tells you all you need to know about her character anyway.
You said Scarlet Witch again, by the way.
Did I say Scarlet? I mean, which one did I mean? Black Widow.
That's one you meant.
Yeah.
The other one. It's just,
They got red hair.
man, there's only 2 female characters in the Avengers. You'd think I'd be able to remember which one was which.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why we don't have a Black Widow movie, but hopefully they're going to rectify that pretty soon.
I'm wondering if you keep
think
getting messed
so.
up because you keep thinking Scarlet Spider and you're just mixing up
No,
spiders.
Scarlett Johansson. I think that's what.
That could
I
be
think that's
too.
what's
ScarJo.
I'm pretty sure it's the Scarlett Johansson thing that's fucking me up.
That could be very well true.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy about it.
No,
Yeah,
it's to me it's the weakest one just because I can remember things I like about Thor 2.
I think it also has the worst villains the Marvel Cinematic Universe probably has ever produced.
Those two together, Thor 2 and Iron Man 2, have the worst villains.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that I don't really remember what Christopher Eccles did as the fucking Dark Lord one, and the Thor movie has Loki to backpedal on to carry the. Like, to be honest, Thor 2: The Dark World, when Loki and Thor are teaming up in that second act part, it's not that bad.
No, it's
Yeah.
very much a buddy cop type of film.
Like, it's kind of cool to see them reluctantly work together. Like, that when Loki is on screen, that movie doesn't. It kind of picks up. Like, the movie Iron Man 2 kind of drags down when fucking Mickey Rourke or Sam Rockwell are on screen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not really into it. Man, guys, we went on longer than I thought on this one. Obviously, we had a lot to say about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Our lists were surprisingly more different than I expected.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. They were a little, I mean, the order might have been a little bit different, and now I feel like a shit for not putting Spider-Man
You
Homecoming on
should.
there. I don't know why. But, yeah, Chris, thank you so much for sticking with us for this epic fucking recording.
Oh, no, it was a pleasure. It's great to be on. I'm glad to have these conversations with you guys.
Every time we have you on, maybe we have you on for the regular show more often because we have too many people reviewing for Netflix and Kill, and I don't want to wait to get you back on the Rolodex again.
I don't mind talking about current events and trailers and stuff like that or movie news. That's actually what I prefer oftentimes. So yeah, I'd love to be back on whenever you want me.
Whenever I want you, I really need you, or whatever, however that song goes. I don't know. I'm so tired.
Yeah, a lot of talking.
For one last time before we sign off, would you like to tell the people where they can find you and your content, Chris?
I just gotta have a list out in front of me, and just to make sure I get all of them. Okay, so
dude, you're a professional now. You gotta remember your plugs.
Gotta have a list.
That's half of the job, my friend.
You're right. Okay, so you can follow me on Twitter at Chris J. Herman. You can check me out on Facebook under Christopher J. Herman. You can check out you can find me on Twitch at Mr. Revan7. You can find all my content on classintheglass.net. You can find me on oneofus.net, occasionally as a contributor or as a reviewer, or, maybe on some subscriber content. And you can now find me on doubletoasted.com, reviewing movies with Sammy Gonzalez on Sammy Ain't Seen Shit. That's it.
Yeah, watch them.
Not to be nippy, isn't it Revan N7?
Is it? I think it's Revan, but the N7 is at the end of Revan.
It's Mr. Revan 7.
Oh, okay.
It's a portmanteau of BioWare.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I just misremember it then.
I think, but yeah, definitely go check out the most recent review of Ocean's 11 with their team. That looked pretty fun, and I greatly enjoyed your Temple of Doom one. That's for sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Man, if there's anything I love watching Chris talk about, it's racism. But that sounded weird.
That's always specific.
That's so racist
It's
and
fun.
specific. I love, if you love, listening to Chris talk about other stuff, you can listen to any of his back catalog of stuff where he's reviewed stuff on here, on Netflix and Kill, or just of our regular content at the UGO podcast. He's been on for a little bit before with remember when we had a BioWare episode, I think it was their first time recording together, which was a while ago now. But yeah, if you want to follow us on Facebook, you can do so on our page. Give us a like while you're there. Follow us on Twitter at UGO Podcast or Instagram. That's the same thing. Or you can just email us at unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com if you want to tell us what your lists were for why we're wrong about what our favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe
Why Thor
films.
2 is an amazing movie.
Why tell us. I mean, if anyone has that opinion, I am legitimately curious why you think that.
Oh, they're out there. I see them on my Facebook feed all the time. Thor Ragnarok sucks. I'm all about Thor and Thor the Dark World. I'm serious.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by that. I really I mean, I know everything's subjective, but sometimes you kind of got to just go like, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, also subscribe to us on iTunes and give us a 5-star review while you're there. Write down your list or some sort of thesis on Thor Ragnarok or Thor 2 and why they're dissimilar and Thor Ragnarok is trash or whatever. And I'll read it on the word. I have to read it. It'll hurt me so much, but I will read it on the word for word. I guarantee it. Other than that, thank you so much guys for listening, and we're on Apologetic Geek Out, and we're out!